everyone, and welcome to KK HR Katalyst, the Chennai chapter. We are here today to acknowledge the past achievements, celebrate the present, and strategize for the future of the corporate world through HR. We understand as an organization that the human resource function holds a lot of potential. And this series of conclaves was started with the intention to help other organizations realize and leverage the power that this function holds. We know that not a lot of organizations hold HR conferences, but there's a mind behind all of these, and there's an intent, the impact that we wanted to create. We wanted to give a voice to HRs across the globe to help organizations understand that there is more to HR beyond just employees, beyond just understanding the function of being a people person. It's more towards understanding how the business functions through HR. More on that will be told by the mind behind all of these conferences, the mind and the first believer of KK. Please welcome Mr. Barun Malik. Can we please have Barun on stage?
So back in 2016, KK started its inception. So before I get into how KK started and how we all started this HR Katalyst and conclave, I wanted to address a particular thing. That's why we all have gathered. So one of the core thing that from the start, when we started this organization, KK, our own beloved organization, we always wanted to create a community. And we wanted to create a community of HRs and people practitioners who can come and have a delightful experience and learn from each other. So this conference is not about us. This conference is always about you. It's a place where you guys can talk to each other. Don't sit with your friends. Find new friends, create new colleagues, create new friendships, and understand the importance of being that workforce in an organization which is always very small in nature, right? You will have in a 50 to 100 employee company, you will have 3 to 4 HRs. For 100 to 250 employee company, we see near about 8 to 9 HRs are there. So now, this department is always gonna be that department which is gonna be of less staffed, right? And we know that. So it's very much important to learn from each and other as a peer, what we want to do, what are the things trending, what's kind of trend that is there in the market. And that's the reason we started this HR Katalyst. It's a platform where we call each and every HRs from different organizations, where we ask them to come, discuss about their experiences, discuss about their finding that they are getting right now. And welcome everyone to HR Katalyst. For this particular session, I will be talking about how KK started and how we started this whole journey. Before that, I wanted to talk to you about a particular thing. We as an organization from the core believe in these words. That is CX plus EX is equal to 10x growth. So now, half of your organization will be always busy on your customer experience part, because at the end business needed to be run. And the EX part of the business is always left out. And that's the reason we always say, like, your CEOs will always gonna be focusing on the CX part of the things, and the HRs and the people practitioners inside the organization need to focus on the EX part of it. If both of them work together, then only there is a 10x growth opportunity. But in this business race, a lot of time EX part gets left out. A lot of time, we don't know what kind of language we need to speak to understand the people who understand only the CX. Your CEOs, your people managers, they will always think about the, okay, business growth. We wanted to attrition, we wanted to have more employees, we wanted to have more resources. These are the only topics they are gonna talk about. But you are the right psychological mirror for a CEO. The HRs always hold that place. You are the only role which is not got hired by any other manager. CEO only hired you. The HR heads are always hired by the CEOs. There is no other department which look for that hiring. And as the hierarchical model, you are the only one department apart from CEO which holds the equal responsibility of the growth of the organization, right? Because there is no biasness there. You are working for the organization, you are working for the people. The EX part of the business needed to be understood well. And that's the reason we started KK. So how we started Keka is back then in 2015 or 14, we used to have a services company. And we are in Chennai, a lot of product and services companies are there. And like that in Hyderabad, we had a very small startup called Technovert. And Technovert, now named as Tejo, used to have 150 employees that time. And we recently were growing and we were like, "Hey, okay, now with this growth that we are seeing, we need to have an HR and we need to have an HRMS software. Before that, we never had an HR also, to be honest, right? And we said, okay, let's find an HRMS software in the market. We ended up searching HRMS software. And what we found out is this particular thing. 74% of the people says that their systems are very complex in nature. This is, I'm talking about 2015, 2016. They were not very much happy to see a lot of complexity is there, and the UI and the user experience journey of an individual, of an employee or an HR is not up to that mark that they will be happy using a product. So we are like, yeah, and it's very complex in nature. And we were a startup, young folks. We are like, yeah, this much complexity we even don't want in our life for an HRMS system. And then bunch of our developers said, okay, we will create our own HRMS software. It started with a very small idea, let's create our attendance management system. Because we had biometric devices, ESL devices that are there. We said, let's integrate ESL devices, let's create an automated attendance management system. And that's when we came into the picture saying that, okay, let's first build it for our employees. Let's build something for our employees as a side project of ours. Slowly, that project shaped into a name. That project shaped into name of Keka. 2016, back in 2015 when we built the product for our own workforce and we started using it, and suddenly we understood, okay, this is one product we should make a market out. So back in 2016, we said, let's enter the market. We entered the market with a vision saying that in next 1.5 years, let's have few customers, let's understand their standpoints, what they're doing. We never looked for funding. For 7 to 8 years, we bootstrapped ourselves to learn, to understand everything from the core. We then started talking to a lot of HR folks, HR professionals, HR heads of different companies to understand what's the real problem, what's the real game. And this journey ended 2016, we entered the Indian HR market, and by 2017, we acquired the first 100 customers. By 2020, we were seeing a 7x growth in our customer base. And we are like, okay, this is happening now. Why not enter international market with the same product? And we entered the international market by 2021. We started with Dubai, being Middle East countries, and SEA as a country. And then we were now, in 2024, after near about 8 years, we are now ready for the US market also. So we are expanding our horizon towards US market. So what's numbers look like? So right now, the numbers look like near about 8,500 organizations right now globally uses Keka on a day-to-day basis. And it started as a pet project. And we are very proud saying that it's a pet project. It used to be a pet project for us because we created a software for the love of employees, love for the employees that used to work with us, and they are still working with us. So let's talk about what we have experienced together in this journey. So back in 2017 to 20, what we have seen, there are a lot of software that have come from enabling transaction to driving transformation. So we saw a lot of software and a lot of technologies that came into picture. Then we understood that in-memory computing is not there. Now people are moving to swan computing. Data visualization, back in 2017, we saw that okay, people are looking for data visualization thing. Then we understood people are looking for smart platform. By 2020, the data privacy and data security changed the whole game also. So we said, okay, 2017 to 20, we were understanding what is happening in the market. During this time, we also understand how our HR tech buyers are buying the product. So if you see, back in 2017, we saw people were just looking for a traditional HR software, which can do all the manual ad hoc process. We were not seeing a lot of vendor evaluation from HRs also. They were like, okay, this software is good, let's do a 2 or 3 rounds of discussion, let's close the deal, and let's move into an operational excellence mode. The people on their hierarchy, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, everybody understand in HR space, they were just thinking about their current need. That is, they wanted a safety, a psychological need, a normal things that needed to be there. Then in 2018-19, we saw a very big transformation that started happening. People were coming with digital strategies. HRs were coming with digital strategies, working with different departments. Okay, this is the digital strategy we want for their organization. And we saw a lot of vendor demos were also getting conducted. So we are like, now HR market is shaping much more faster. They are understanding the importance of a tool for their workforce, importance of a tool for their career growth also. And we said, okay, let's understand some of more thing. And during this whole process, we found out that at least HRs are now becoming more digital savvy during 2020. So we understood during this digital transformation life cycle, what we understood was this whole digital transformation life cycle started with a very simple thing. Okay, there should be a definition to your digital transformation journey. But with massive expansion of technology, this particular digital transformation definition keeps on changing. 2020, what you called as digital transformation, 2024, you called it just a mere automation. And this happens very quickly also, with AI coming into picture, ChatGPT, AI coming into picture, a lot of other MQL tools coming into picture. This whole digital transformation rapidly fastened up. And we said, what went wrong? So we understood during this period of time, definition of digital transformation keep on changing for organization. Lack of integrated smart system which are open to talk. So you have one particular siloed digital transformation that is happening in one of your department, maybe let's say in sales. But that digital transformation journey is not reflecting into your customer support. So all departments on themselves are digitally transforming themselves, but all of them had transformed in their own silos. Not a single platform talks to each other. We are like, now, if an HR want to do a calibration analysis of the whole workforce, for inserting data, for analyzing data, they will not have endpoints to analyze. So you have attendance data coming from HRMS software, but you have performance data coming from a CRM software of a sales employee. And both are not interlinked. And we are like, okay, this is getting more exciting now. People are looking for that data. Why not start working for it? Now, also we understood when we did digital transformation siloli, all were excited for a few years. But what happened, the proof of concept that we had for that digital transformation journey, it breaks when we want to scale, when we wanted to understand more depth about your own workforce, about your own workforce needs. So that's when we said, why not we understand ourselves what our customers are going through. We started understanding each and every activity, and by then, by 2020, we had near about 3,000 customers, right? So 3,500 customers were there. We were analyzing each and every activity an employee was doing in the platform. We are analyzing each and every step, and HR is making sure to create an adoption of an HR software. The adoption is one of the key that people always forget, and adoption drives the HR tech or HR transformation journey that you wanted to scale inside the organization. Adoption is the key for it. To increase the adoption, we said we need to increase the endpoints of the tool. We need to increase how our tool is communicating. We need to increase how our tool is not just talking about a digital transformation environment. We are moving towards a digital intelligence. So by 2020 to 2023, we worked upon the whole digital intelligence journey part. We started with a very simple thing, right? Okay, let's take out all the noises that are there in the system. Let's not talk about things which are not necessary. So we said, just an example, if you see this screen, so it's talk about attrition analytics. When you come up with an attrition analytics, it talks about all the pivot points of attrition analytics. From performance rating to pulse surveys of the employees, to what kind of demographics they are working in, which manager they had worked upon, to a minute detail about what used to be their performance trend in last 3 months and what was their earlier career growth path used to be. So now with this many information and touch points, HRs were able to understand, okay, these are the 10 reasons might be for this particular attrition trend. We further created this thing depthly on our expense reports also. On the expense trend report, we understood every year the same discussion everybody does in the company, AOP discussion, annual operating plan, what's gonna be our EX budget. And a lot of time, HRs don't have data points to prove there is an EX budget required. And what are those data points? From your expense trend to your rate limits to your custom policies. Those are the data points which are very much necessary to make those data available to the CX part of the business, to make them understand that this much expense is gonna be there anyway. You can't stop. So now we said, okay, we should have data points. Why not create, why not have more AI-driven things also into the platform? So recently we started with AI and automation and everything, and those are the things we are going to talk about in rest of the conference and on different topic. We started with putting AI into place also for HR. And we started with some of the things where in KK Hire you can see on JD, when you create a job description, half of the time HRs are looking for managers to give good JDs to source well. Recruiters always have this problem, the good JDs to sell. And good JDs are always difficult from a manager to get on time also. So we said, why not empower that part also? Let's have 5 or 6 variations of JDs for HRs, and it keeps on learning from the peers network, the peer network that is using the system. It keeps on learning from it. Now, after that, we said, why not go a little depth into performance analytics? So now we as an organization always believe every organization have their own unique performance story. Every organization is different, and there is a story that they wanted to convey to the world about their performance story, about their growth journey, and how an HR can be that orchestrator to create those performance stories. So we created a wide net of thing on performance part. On detail, we will discuss later because of the time. During this time, we did a lot of surveys. We understood 6 in 10 companies says driving engagement and experience is the focus for them in 2024. And we came up with, like, we need to evaluate the whole culture. So how to create a culture of self-accountability. From a small icon of snail that you can see on KK dashboard, when somebody don't come into office on time, you don't need to give them a verbal feedback. A small snail on their profile icon when they see attendance log is also conveying the same message. And with the new type of workforce coming into the picture, the Gen Zs, the Gen Alphas, which are coming into picture, it's very important to communicate with their language, the language they understand. So we said, why not start improving those? And if you see these metrics on the culture and all, these surveys and all the employee pulse surveys we do, that create those stories for you to make people understand what's going to happen in the organization. Now, for this year and last year, we worked seamlessly on integration part. So we now seamlessly integrated to a lot of different kind of system, from accounting system to personal finance system, to chatbots, to ERP, to learning management. This year, we also started our own flagship product on LMS. So we have our own LMS in place, as well as we are working on another tool called PSA. For the PSA is Professional Service Automation, which is a tool for all the service vendor companies who are working with on the third-party things, on the third-party computation thing. So all the services company, we started the PSA software altogether, because at the end, the whole service industry depend on the resources. If resources are not there, if you don't account for resources well, it's always gonna be a risky factor. So This year, 2023 to 2026, our vision is to becoming an HR platform. To a lot of time, people always do monologues. Like we'll have monologues with your employees. Why create that? Why not have dialogues? So now I will give you an example, very simple example. With that same example we talked about, the sales experience. Your sales guy use CRM, and those data don't come to his performance evaluation when you are doing in your system. You need to always copy paste the data. You need to your systems are not integrated with the Freshworks, Gendex, Genoti, Asana, Clevertap, Zapier, Luri of the world. And you as a software, you as a company are using all this software. Why not start integrating those? Why not get the right KPIs and measure it on the platform which is for employees? And this is the new journey where we are gonna move into. We are changing, and we always believe one thing: if there is a question which you don't have answer to, you always have an anxiety. And anxiety starts when you don't have answers to your problems. We wanted to convert that feeling to excitement. So let's not be anxious about what sales is doing. Let's not be anxious about what CS is doing. Let's not anxious about what your product team is doing. Let's create an excitement about, as an HR, as a storyteller of your organization, as a psychological mirror for your CEO, how much confidence you have on the data that you are seeing around and how well you are computing. Because at the end of the day, everybody knows EX is the central backbone for the business. Without EX, the CX can't thrive. And HRs, as a workforce, you all oath a responsibility also, a hidden responsibility for a lot of people who joins your organization, a lot of folks who first time interacted with you before joining any organization. You have that oath that you take, saying that this organization will make sure you get a better culture. We make sure you get a better work-life balance. You make sure you get a better work ethics. You get a better work environment. So these are the hidden oath you guys already take, right? Why not create those excitement again? Why not understand your workforce again into more detailed way so that we create a digital intelligence journey? Because this digital intelligence journey will be the backbone for the future workforces in India. And HRs are gonna not just be the influencers, they are gonna be the change maker and the change agent for an organization. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
All right. And that being said, let us begin discussing the topic that we are here for.
Vanakkam Chennai. எப்படி இருக்கீங்க? How many can not understand Tamil here? Okay, few. Then looks like we can have a all Tamil panel discussion now. But we have few in the panel as well. That's okay. We'll keep it in English, but I think feel free to ask your questions in Tamil if you want to. Right? I'll do my best to translate. Thanks for coming in large numbers. This is great to see. Great to have this session organized by Keka here at Chennai. We'll get started. Welcome to our wonderful panelists. I think they come with a ton of experience, and I'm so excited to talk to all of them. I'll start with Thiru, right? So the topic today is predominantly around non-traditional talent pools, right? Non-conventional talent pools. And I've been leading product, I've been leading design at a number of companies so far. And I never could arrive at one playbook or one template to hire, right? I don't have a formula yet. And it has always been, I would say, the strangest backgrounds, right? The most unconventional paths that people have taken. I have found the best talent, right? So, I mean, I'll start with asking Mr. Thiru, when we think about leveraging non-traditional talent pools, right? Branding is key, right? How can employer branding come to the forefront, right? How much should we care about employer branding? And how does that help actually unearth non-traditional talent pools? It'll be great to hear from you.
So first thing, before I put the same question to the audiences here, so when they think about hear about employer branding. So let's imagine the one fine day the business call them out and let's do employer branding for the upcoming hiring needs for the upcoming quarter. So what would you do in your office? The moment once your business asks you to do some branding activities to promote who you are, what you do, how this organization is a great place to work, and how you attract talent. So what do you do first? Industry tie-ups, partnership, great. Yes, we do. Website. Okay, you invest in your website, how it gives experience to the external market, right? Great.
There was someone who said culture.
Okay, so it's life at your organization. That's how it's all about, right? How we are. Great. Fantastic. Making your, empowering your employees as your brand ambassadors. Fantastic. The reviews, your internal employees review, getting into it is fantastic. Values, so that correlates with what she have said about the culture, right? So these are all we do. Okay, so let me also get into my experiences some 9 years back. So there was a global project given to understand how different market regions have been doing this unconventional hiring. So we want to understand from a talent landscape perspective. So we divided these talents into three segments. One is on lateral experience part. Second is on your internal employees here. Why internal employees? Most of the times we might not know the person who are looking for, which is already there inside your organization. So we look for external. And the third is on the campus part, like one madam has said, the campus engagement friend, right? So the three things here. So before we get into that, so we have designed four different pillar approach here. The moment when we speak about branding, that is employer branding, so we directly start into like how you Facebook or account is all about, LinkedIn and Glassdoor, so on so. So we have defined a four pillar approach with exactly the very first stage states about talent awareness. Today, when we speak about talent awareness, so your external market needs to aware of who you are, what you do, what purpose you are existing for. That comes the first pillar of your employer branding strategy. The second pillar speaks about talent attraction. So anyone has to be inspired by your activities you do in your organization. That comes with talent attraction. And the third pillar comes with recruitment marketing. Recruitment marketing is where you invest all your time, energy, and money in your LinkedIn campaign or Indeed campaign, Glassdoor campaign, in your social media campaigns. Why most of the organizations have failed in their employer branding strategies? They directly start from the third stage, that is on the recruitment marketing, rather than focusing on talent awareness and talent attraction. So definitely you will not get the lead generation, that what we speak in our technical terms. The hire to the amount you invest in your social media campaign, the lead that you got, as well as the conversion from the hire ratio, it will be very less here. The reason is you directly start getting into recruitment marketing stage here. The fourth plays a major role here, that is your internal employees. The moment once you hear from your internal employees, so that's where your exact one correctly quoted about investing their time on Glassdoor reviews and Ambition Box reviews here. So you have to listen to your internal employees. What is your culture is all about? What they're talking is all about. That needs to correlate with your recruitment marketing strategy, with your talent awareness strategy, as well as talent attraction strategy. So it doesn't mean that the candidates, the external market, they have heard and seen a different picture. The moment once you join their organization on day one, if they're seeing a very different picture, right? So that is your failure of your employer branding strategy here. So this is the systematic way of handling your employer branding strategy in attracting talent from different market in an unconventional way here. I'm just giving a pass here, and I will take up further more in the upcoming thing.
How many here actually, okay, we need not make it public, but all of us do, right? HRs also do. Definitely, yeah, all of us. So, how many of us look at Glassdoor? Everyone, right? And as part of your organization, how many of you look into Glassdoor now and make sure you respond to each review? Look at the percentage, right? So we are all very particular when we join a company, and now we have the opportunity to be in a company and improve the employer branding of the company. We can be champions, right? I think we should be very, very meticulous about looking into each review, right? Understanding what people feel about us, right? And improve. So yeah, I think great insights. Thank you. Captain, I would love to understand from you. I think in the kind of industries you have been, I think the skill sets, the needs for the skill sets are diverse, right?
Yes, yes.
And you might not always get it from the conventional pipelines. So how have you tapped non-traditional pools, right? How have you been able to hire diverse skill sets?
Yeah, sure. So when we, like you started the conversation very nicely and with a disclaimer that you have still not found a perfect recipe for, the, to hire a right talent. Similarly, all of us sitting in the whole August gathering today, we try and find out recipes for perfect hiring. Uh, in the industries I have worked in, primarily is telecom, ISP, but I worked for an industry prior to this was into banking, retail, petroleum, colors, digital payment, CIT. And just imagine the condition of a talent acquisition lead or the head of talent acquisition who would be getting, say, at least 44 to 48. I'm being very precise because I spent about a decade plus in the organization in a day. And he has to put that up in the LinkedIn, Naukri, Monster, and other medias. And then he starts filtering. The most important, like Thiru rightly brought in, a most important point is how you brand your particular role that you are trying to sell. Literally, though HR is known for sitting in the backstage and doing nothing, right? But the kind of salespeople all of us are, I think we are very immaculate in our job. I think that calls for a round of applause for all of us sitting here. Selling a job which entails going up in the market, heat, showers, storm, snow, you can name it and you have it. And then you say, this is the perfect organization you're working for. And we are going to give you A, B, C, D, and E is a selling skill. So firstly, you need to first educate and train your own people and say why they are here. I'm sure all of you have read Ikigai. So the purpose of an HR, to be in HR, is very crucial to understand. If one understands that and starts loving the place or the role he or she is into, then the half battle is done. Now we fight the next 50% of the battle. How do you do that? He or she needs to get inducted. And this is my personal view, ladies and gentlemen. I have tried what I learned in my first job in the armed forces. You need to first experience what you are trying to sell or do. So in the armed forces, we all officers are get inducted. They first live the life of a soldier. So once you do that, you come and you can rattle out the problems and you can rattle out the solutions as well. If somebody comes and asks you that what happens if A, B, C happens to me while I'm on the job, since you have had an induction which is hands-on for that 30 days, you will be able to give back on that role for that particular candidate. So these are the segmentations I have done in the all these organizations I have worked for. And most importantly, the people who really apply for the job, there are two things the candidate is looking for. One, what is the jump I'm going to get? Second, what is the designation up that I'm going to get? The second bit is very deceptive because very large organization bring you down because they have a very, very large ladders to climb up. But the smaller organization can lure you with very, very good and fancy designation with a very small scale. So my experience with candidates, I'm not talking about organizations, is that people get hooked on to a job which is smaller than the part they were playing in the previous organization. But just because of peer pressure, they come down and get hooked on to this job because he says, "Arey, wahan pe to you're getting a general manager's post." And I asked him, "So what's your compensation?" He says, 18 lakhs. I said, "Are you kidding me?" Then that is how the story starts. Now he takes up a job of GM. Just imagine if you benchmark a GM with a BTech and MBA, he will be nothing less than 25 to 30 lakhs. I'm just taking an average. I might go wrong here and there. But you look at where he is standing at that point in time. So he works for 2 years, 3 years, then again starts benchmarking him in the market. And then he finds he's in the bottom of the last percentile. So segmentization of the talent or the job description that we have is very crucial in any organization. And all of you have rightly said that we look into mission, vision, values, what culture we are going into, what culture we are going to drive, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, if you have sold it right, firstly, if you have absorbed it correctly and sold it right, then it makes a great recipe for the organization and for the role that is being offered.
Great. Thanks. Thanks. I'll come back to you. I was tempted to ask one question. I'll keep that in my mind. I'll come back to you as a follow-up to what you were saying. Bala, again, I think you have been part of a lot of tech hiring. If I'm right, you can correct me if I'm wrong. And here we spoke about a lot of skill sets. And in tech, I think there's a lot of competition, right? And within tech, there are a lot of skill sets, a lot of tech skills. But if I just take a step back, there is, in general, heavy competition in India, in South India, all over, right? So trying to understand how did non-traditional talent pools or non-traditional sources help you? Were you able to leverage it? Is it a myth? Is it not? Please share your insights on that.
Sure. So thank you, KK team, for having me here, and very good evening to all and to my fellow panelists. So just before starting, right, I would like to understand how many are from IT industry or technology. Oh, majority. So here, definitely Thiru and Dr. Or Captain spoke about their experiences or the concept, how we can do hiring or see HR in a different way, right? Probably let me bring it to probably, I'll weigh 3-4 lenses in terms of what me and my team is doing with SRM technologies, then probably going on to industry. So today, if you see post-pandemic, I would say, or during pandemic itself, year 2021, the term used was great Indian hiring. In 22, probably end of 22, we started talking about great Indian recession. That's a huge swing. And imagine we trying to, as a HR, not just HR, as any expert, we used to do a correlation between what happened 1 year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. We do a lot of analysis, and based on that predictive analysis, we also work towards the future. But here, post-pandemic, or even during pandemic, we didn't have any benchmarking, right? So we have to be a jugaad. We have to be a jugaad in every activity we do. I still remember having a conversation with my TA head. I'm releasing WhatsApp offer. I said, what? She said, WhatsApp offer. I asked her, what is WhatsApp offer? She said, Bala, this guy I'm talking with is holding 14 offers. So I don't want to be a 15th offer. And I don't know where and which company will join. And he has come back to me 12 times from 12 lakhs to 46 lakhs. I'm not even joking. 12 lakhs to 46 lakhs. His current salary is 6 lakhs. I'll keep you in mind. 3 years experience, 6 lakhs, Java technology. Already he has worked in 3 companies. And then expectations of 42 lakhs. It is not going to stop there.
Everyone is like rethinking priorities in life, I think. Safest answer. No?
Yeah, that's what it is, right? Because, so one point of time, we have ATS. We stopped using ATS. We said, okay, the day they join, we'll create the offer letter. It's completely uncertain. My offer to joining ratio went down to like 20%. It was so bad. I mean, I believe you guys will all sympathize with me because most of you guys raised your hand when you said tech hiring, right? And the complete shift happened in 22 Great Indian Recession, right? So it all depends on what fits your organization or what fits the situation matters a lot. For example, if you see, I would say till 2014, I come from Cognizant where we used to hire 40,000, 50,000, 60,000 people. We used to compete with TCS or Accenture or Infosys, create Guinness record after every year. Right? This year, 20,000, one campus, 4,000 offers. Next year, we release 5,000 offers and make Guinness record. So the record was getting beaten up every year. And suddenly, you see in the market, the campus hires, no takers. This year, no takers, right? So what is happening to industry? From my perspective, definitely you'll be having your own perspective because you guys are all SMEs in what you're doing. What we could see, the traditional volume hiring, when I say volume hiring, it's coming down. Winning a deal, larger deal, it is like 50 million, 60 million or whatever, that is coming down. So now whatever we used to make as a revenue with one deal, let it be Cognizant or TCS or any big giants, it is coming through 10 or 15 accounts. I'm not even joking. Reason, today we are getting into a deep technology. When I say deep technology, the technology keeps evolving once in 18 months before 5, 6 years. But today, there is no cycle. It is almost daily. It is like an Android update, right? It happens daily. So finding those talent today, it is next to impossible. They ask 10 skills in one profile. Do you agree? The business asks 10 skills in one profile, and getting the 10 skills in one profile, we should fake the resume. No other choice. No other choice, right? That's when we can convince. It will be too good to be true in most of the cases, but unfortunately, that's what it is. Like how you manage matters a lot. So what we have done in SRM, or what I have done in last 2 years, we started looking for breaking that requirement, what we can do, what I can do with a partner ecosystem. For example, let's take SFDC. I believe you guys are aware about Salesforce, right? I'm not sure if I can talk about Salesforce in front of Keka, but let me.
It's okay.
Thank you for the permission. So we were hiring Salesforce for one particular client. They wanted 6 Salesforce skills in one resume. We glanced through Naukri, LinkedIn. We just got only 6 people across India. In that, 3 are fake. And we have remaining 3 people, but my demand is 5. My demand is 5. So what I need to do, I should take a hit on my revenue by processing all 5, or should I hire 10 people against 3 or 5, whatever it is? It'll hit my P&L, right? Because my margin will go down. So what we did, we leveraged of having a partner ecosystem who can come and pitch as a consultant or a project-based model or milestone-based model. We hired 2 people. Next person we hired as a consultant. We had a relationship with, or probably we tied up with a Salesforce expert who came in as a consultant for us for that particular period. Right? That's one adaptation we did.
Bala, these are interviewing consultants or sourcing consultants?
No,
or?
they are Salesforce experts, or probably they have a Salesforce-driven company.
So instead of going for full-time candidates, you are actually going for consultants.
Yeah, because we're not getting in. We're not getting in people with Salesforce. That's fine. That's fine. So we went with the partnership, and that really worked for us, right? The second incident, the one more skill, which is into retail. You guys should have heard about Flutter Golan. Flutter Golan, even Google started only in 2015, 2016, but this particular client, they want 10 years experience when we were sitting in 23, but Google started only in 2014. But they want 10-year experience. Again, I have to fake it. So we found one profile who is working from Australia. We need to utilize the opportunity of work from home. So we onboarded the gentleman from Australia who is supporting us even today. It's been 18 months for us. So we have to, that's why I said we have to be a jugaad. We can't do a traditional way of hiring. We need to see how we can utilize the opportunity, the situation, and convince the business. Because convincing business is more important today. They have a lot of NDAs where they have to be working in India, Chennai, under SRM premises. We need to work around and see what best would be working for us. And third, Thiru spoke about freshers. Okay. As I told you before, technology is evolving, and we need more talent. And more talent we can't create. If you ask me, if I had a lateral resource, the lateral resource comes with a fungible talent. When I say fungible talent, what I mean over here is, can we cross-skill them? Unfortunately, people are not flexible to get cross-trained because they're not certain about what is going to happen if I get cross-trained and move myself from one technology to different technology. After 2 years, what will happen to me? If the technology is moving out, should I keep cross-trained, or I'm happy to be with what I am today? So what we did for one particular area which is very new in the system or new in the market, I leveraged SRM University as my weapon. What I did over here last year, in fact, around Jan, Feb, since we have a good, it's a group of companies, right? We created a module, we created a program only for them on specific training areas what we had. Typically, as you're aware, all you guys do campus hiring. You go to campus in October, November maximum, and then onboard them in June, July, next year, following year, right? When you start billing them, tentatively, what is the billing cycle for a fresher? Sorry? 6 months. 6 months is very aggressive, actually. That means your company is doing good. Sorry? 1 year. Otherwise? 1 year also you guys are doing good. What is the industry average? Industry average goes to 15 months. 18 months, yeah. 18 months, 2 years, tentatively, that's when they will be on their own. You can build them at least 100%, if not partial, or there'll be a shadow resource. What I've done, probably you guys can also adopt, having tied up with the universities. What I've done, I have tied up with my own university, that is SRM group. We started giving them training from their 3rd year. That is 5th semester. So I have 2 years. In this 2 years, what I've done, I created a program. First 2 semesters, they will be doing classroom training. Classroom training on the technology or the domain which SRM technology wants or my client wants. The next year, that is 7th semester, 8th semester, we have made them work in a capstone project, which is as similar to what client is looking for. Last semester, we made them to come to office in a hybrid mode. They were working as a shadow resource for us. So for me, I just took 3 months to make them billable. And that was an effective model because the cost already any company gave is 6 months.
Does this change for tier 1, tier 2 universities and all that? I mean, the whole period for billability, time to billability.
If I say tier 1 companies, I don't want to name them since I come from 2 tier 1 companies.
More universities I was talking about.
Yeah.
Since not the companies.
I'm sorry?
More on the universities.
More universities?
More on the universities. Does it change when you go to the IITs and you go to the next
Are you talking
level?
about the billing or you're talking?
Billing.
Doesn't
Yeah,
change.
yeah.
Because end of the day, whether it's IIT or IIM or tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 college, training remains the same. It's all about the attitude of the individual, right? People might be smart, but how they cope up. In fact, traditionally, I managed a campus for 3 years with Cognizant. What we could see is engineering tier 1 do better than IITs.
No, I wanted that out. I mean, that's a very important point, right? I think this is the reality on the ground, and all of us have to realize that.
That's real because they'll be fungible. They'll be open, but IIT comes with a different aspiration. Their aspiration, they ask, you can't feed them. You have to feed them, probably you need more content to feed them, which is not required by any service company today. Otherwise, they should be in probably doing some research with NASA or somewhere else, right? So here, we started billing them, and from 3rd month, the cost already what tier 1 gives is 6 months, maximum 8 months. Then they start charging them. That is, the management starts charging them. So it was a huge hit for us because we started billing them from the 3rd or 4th month onwards, right? It was one successful model. Yeah, so probably I just want to leave that over here. Probably next topic, again, I'll share my experience of what's happening in the industry. Yeah, thank you. Over to you.
Definitely. Thanks. I think that was wonderful.
By then the technology changed, right? Like you also said, today it is changing every day. So when it is changing every day, how are you coping up, Because that's the most critical one, because you must have trained them on something, and by the time they are in the 8th semester, they are on something, but your customer needs something else.
Yeah.
I'm very keen to know how you're managing that effectively. Of course, you have the flexibility of your own university, you have all the liberty and luxury, but I don't know how the technology you are able to still manage it, Bala.
Got it. Two things. It's a very valid question because this is what even my chancellor asked me, right? So what I did, I brought a concept of LOA, letter of intent. That is, you don't train before LOA. The commitment from the candidate, commitment from the company should be there. This, not just for SRM, I've also extended this to one more university. SRM is also tried one more university. At the same time, my client is also exploring this option, and we onboarded a batch 2 months ago, right? So one, as you rightly said, technology keeps moving on, right? We have to give them a training which will make them fungible, which will make them a multifaceted resource. That's number one. Number two, the fundamentals or the concepts is not going to change, right? So we have to make them enable all individuals to what a company is looking from a technology and domain perspective. That's number one. Number two, if you see the last semester, we have putting them to the project, which is a live project, what is happening, right? So the technology training is used in the project for 6 months and 8 months, because today, if you go to any clients, they ask for resources 2 years of experience. They don't want freshers because they know freshers will take, the lead time is going to be higher for make them productivity, right? So they want somebody who is trained on a project, live project. They want that. They don't care whether they are graduate or not. That's only for our own internal compliance perspective. We look for graduates. All they need is somebody who's having 2 years or 1 year of experience in live project, which we are giving it. So whatever they got trained, it is regular training what your company is giving in your academy, right? Plus we are giving domain and project experience. The project experience gives them an overall perspective, which is a huge success. And we have done 3 batches so far for our SRM itself, and also 2 batches for our own client, because one of the captive clients based out of Bangalore, they said they could not go to campus because of they hire only 20 people in a year. They don't get day 1, day 2 slot. They get probably day 15 slot, the top talent is done, right? So we also worked on a model like this, and we onboarded them 2 weeks ago. It was a huge success.
This question to you, Bala, because as a HR, are we needed to the company to hire the best or hire the right? Because as you quoted, you offered a candidate from 6 lakhs to 46 lakhs, which means I'm a little worried. There are 14 other HRs who are doing the same mistake, just elevating from 6 lakhs.
He still didn't say whether he offered or not.
Okay, but still he's considered that profile, which is not right to the company. Whereas, instead of giving a 10%, 20% hike to a current employer, we are just crying. And we are just elevating external resource from 6 lakhs to 46 lakhs. Is it right? Are we doing the right thing to the company? That's one. And when you said about the Flutter, when the Flutter is launched in 2014 and they're expecting like 10 years of experience, and still you wanted to fake it around, are we doing right? Still no. Why can't we just take a stand? This is not practically possible as a HR, and state this is the doable from our end. If we take a stand and make management agree to our point, that is where the real HR comes into picture, right? Yeah. It's just my personal opinion.
Got it. So let me not talk as SRM, because it will not be fair on my part. So 2 things I will look into it, right? So one, it is not about faking it. Second part, so we have to do it. So if you ask an investor, do you want revenue or do you want to go the process? Let me ask a practical question, right? Do you want revenue or do you want to be process compliant? Process compliant to what extent is important? They will first say, give me revenue, right? So we have to ensure we give revenue. At the same time, to an extent, we also maintain the ethical of the process or the individual, right? So reason we went for Australia, because that's the only resource who had, and that guy was for Google in 2012. So he had an experience with Flutter since 2012, because he was there in the beginning. And we have to pay that premium to bring him on board, because he's an Australian citizen, right? So that's number one. To answer your first question, right, again, revenue versus the pressure what we go through. everyone went through that, right? Including
No, to be
me,
very frank,
you, everyone went through
I
it,
also
right?
went through that. But
Did
my
we have
only
a
question is,
choice?
are we here to hire the right or hire the best?
It is again depends on situation over here. If you ask me if you ask me personally, I will look for a person with good attitude rather than best talent. If somebody comes with best talent, the wrong attitude, I will not hire him. Rather, I'll hire a person with good attitude. One, two, always. I mean, that is theory to be. That's a theory, right? That's a theory. But once we get on the practical ground, honestly, I'm saying your BU leader will be sitting next to you. Offer him, onboard him, right? They say recruitment is done. Now, as he said, the internal resource will ask for additional hike. That is a different department called talent management. They'll take care. That is not your problem, okay? But unfortunately,
No,
yeah.
this, to be very frank, I hold my 75% of experience into technology.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing this majorly happening in technology, not in other sectors, to be very frank.
Exactly. Actually, the saddest part, probably I'll just answer you. The saddest part is 3 to 5 years, 3 to 6 years during the Great Indian Hiring, we're drawing more compensation than 15 years guy. Even a 15 years guy was applying for a job, probably you should have got 20, 25 lakhs. But this guy was drawing 30, 35 lakhs. On an average, I'm saying, based on my analytics, right? So again, it depends on situation, what the business want. If that is the only resource you have in the market, what other choice you have? I've released 100 offers. 20 people only joined. 80 people didn't join. So I should look for 101, and I can't wait for another 1 month or another 6 weeks. Get a hit on the P&L or get a hit on billing. Rather, I'll hire somebody. But how to utilize the resource matters a lot. When I say utilize the resource matters a lot over here, based on the compensation, based on what had been hired, we have to unfortunately extract work also, whether it's capable, and top up his role accordingly. Extract benefit out of it accordingly is what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
We'll definitely take more questions, and we'll have some time after this during the dinner as well. But I mean, very encouraging. Thanks for keeping it participative, right? That's what we need. Thanks to everyone here. We have been talking a lot on technology, so I think that leads me to, hey, what kind of tools are you using, Thiru, right? Have you started this ChatGPT thing? Are you tapping into AI? What is happening? What are the emerging trends that we should be aware of, that we should be curious of? And are you already leveraging certain things, right, based on your experience, to tap either non-traditional or conventional talent pools?
Okay. So again, let me put into my personal experiences over the last precise 9 years, especially on the AI systems that I've been working on. And again, going back to the audiences here. So how many of you using AI systems in your HR tool on a day-to-day basis, and how it is helping you? How many of you using AI systems in your HRM day-to-day basis? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and how is it helping you? Anyone? Okay, so let me put my experience here. It's 9 years back when a small project team, we started into experimenting how we can implement AI systems into our day-to-day work. We started with the TA process here, because maximum of your HR activities goes with your talent acquisition front in sourcing, screening, scheduling interviews, and finally with the offer, and also ensure that that person joins your organization. That is the most critical part in the TA front here, right? This is one part. And coming to the other part, like one of the audiences clearly mentioned about they invest on their career site when they speak about employer branding, right? So how many of you also ensure that your tonality and inclusivity in your career site looks like? So by chance, any of your market research team in your organization have did some study on that and came back with the results to you? Yeah.
How many Indian companies have white faces and foreign people on their
Today we
talent
speak
website?
a lot about diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? So by chance,
Male candidates.
okay.
Most of the companies do that. So
Okay.
they keep their values as we are general diversity. We give more preference in terms of DN initiative activities. But in the job description, they kept this as one tagline, that looking for a male candidates.
Okay, fine, understood. And coming to this point, the real challenge here. So today we all the organizations speak about D&I into their day-to-day practices here. And again, from an diversity perspective, gender diversity perspective, hiring more women workforce participation in the organization, right? It is exactly 5 years back, one of the market intelligence team, we did a study about the career sites of all the organizations here, right? And they have given a score out of 100. This is the score out of 100. This market region, this score. When I say market region, again, I split into 5 different market regions: Latin America and North America region, Europe, and Middle East, and then APAC region here, right? The organizations which having a presence in all these market regions, right? So eventually they felt they need to have a very exclusive different career sites for each of their respective market regions here. Why so? The tonality, the language that what you use in Asia Pacific region, which can be much sensitive to use in Latin America and North America there, right? So this is one thing this intelligence team came up, number one. Number two, most of our career websites, including the job descriptions, that what we send out to the candidate, the research team observed, it is most of 98% is masculine tone. So which means your job description, your career site, your external communication to the external candidates, eventually which you meant for diversity hiring, gender diversity hiring here, which is in the masculine tone. So the applicants of the female candidates, right? So potentially it's becoming less here. And eventually think about the success of your diversity hiring program, which in itself become much, much lesser than that. So to do that, there are many augmented writing platforms has been introduced. This is the problem statement has been defined. So the company started using augmented writing platform to ensure that the tonality that what you use, the terms that what you use in your external communication, your career side, it has to be inclusive tone. And that platform will recommend you back the inclusivity score. That's how it's all started with AI systems some few years back. This is one. And how I see the technologies is taking the entire HR gamut into the upcoming, the next 2 to 3 years here, which already happening now, but looking into the landscape into the market here in India. So I see a talent intelligence system. So when I say talent intelligence system, so today you have a TA in place, talent management in place, and talent development in place, and learning in place here. So all these 4 different functions and departments will integrated into one platform. So for an organization, say for example, a candidate is joining into a new organization here, it is the day 0 that talent intelligence platform will have a system and put it into your business stating that what could be the succession planning and retention planning for this particular candidate here in terms of investing, reskilling and upskilling programs, which is recommended for your future business plan. Likely I said, most of the times people used to look for external candidate here rather than looking inside here. And when we speak about the internal people here, eventually there is a huge gap between their upskilling program and reskilling program here because the demand from the business is changing. Why so? The demand from the customers is changing day by day here. So these talent intelligence platform much predict much faster than your market intelligence team, the advanced tool, whichever in place, because everything is works on deep learning methodology here. So that recommends your day 0 employee what they have to plan for the next 6 months and 8 months in their upskilling and reskilling program for their future opportunities. So those kind of talent intelligence system where I foresee is coming in the nearby 2 to 3 years, not much more far fight. It is nearly 2 to 3 years. We can see the systems is going to happening in India market.
Great, thanks. I think that's very helpful. When we talk about inclusion and equitable opportunities, right? It's not just the gender. It's all about different socioeconomic disparities and all of that as well, right? So when we look at South India, I think the whole socioeconomic groups, I think you have very diverse groups. And how do you ensure that there are opportunities provided to the underrepresented, the rural communities? At the same time, you're also able to give equitable opportunities to all, because it's always a balance, right? Then when you talk about equity, then it's not about giving preferential treatment, but it's also to ensure everyone gets equal representation. Captain, insights from you.
Thank you. My experiences with diversity, D&I, AI, has been a little different. Uh, though I have been actively involved in DI, but very passively involved in AI. Because the organizations I have worked for uh, pushed me, or they demanded um, a talent which could deliver, and that talent was also most sought after by the functional teams, and they wanted that talent to be seen, like I see you. And it was mere just a page of resume that they brought in. And like Bala rightly said, you can write thousands of words and maybe you can even fool an
Bypass the systems,
ATS.
right? Yeah.
But once you do this, it is not possible. Uh, where I come from a technology which talks about, have you used 8410? Now in the room, many people would be thinking, what am I talking about? It is a ATM machine which detects, a blind, a deaf, so on and so forth. Now, if I have to get a talent like this, it is not taught in any of the engineering colleges. So I have to be bold enough to put an incubation center in a school or college. And that is how in 2014, I decided to go hunting all across the country and look for, you're talking about tier 1, 2, 3, no? I was looking for tier 10, 11,
Wonderful.
12, 13, 14.
Great to know. Yeah.
I'll tell you why. Because those kids that I was getting, they were grounded, they wanted a career, and nobody would go there. Like colleges in Nellore, Tuticorin, people don't go there. Brands don't go there. But when I go and say, hey, you know what, I want to put up an ATM machine, I want to train people and make them, theft-free or something like that. They'll be more than glad to take it up. And I don't need to put it in the curriculum. I just put my trainer there, train them, take a batch of 100. Out of that, I select 60, give them a letter of intent, and move out from there.
Wonderful. Very
So
inspiring.
that's the penetration level we are talking about. And it comes with a very broad cultural change mindset that we need. And we have to drift away from the concept, and I really appreciate what Bala Wright said, that this is a tier 1 and they're going to deliver like this. No, it's not like that, because he comes with a total aspiration baggage. I'm sorry I'm using the word baggage, but that's how it is. But you take a college like Ram Krishna Mission Polytechnic. I'm just taking some name. And you train 10 guys, they will 100% join you. No offer drops, for sure. That's the penetration level we're talking about. And in South, the kind of dedication and absorption we have experienced from the Polytech colleges is immense. And the stickiness of these students have been great with us, and we have no complaints, so to say.
I think loyalty
Yes.
definitely matters in
Yes.
these cases, right? I mean, it's, again, might sound like a myth or a long forgotten
Yeah,
word.
like I
but
rightly said, it's a mix blend of, or the recipe of how you are really building the loyalty from the day you have put an incubation center in the institute, which he knows this is what is going to fetch me a job. For him, job is important. Then he looks at the brand. Then he looks at what I'm going to get, because his ROIs, his family, where I am coming from is, if you go deep into Nellore, or why I keep talking about Nellore, because I have been working in these colleges myself for the last 1 decade. And the students out there, you touch any student, they'll be about 95% plus in 10th and 12th, and in their engineering or in Polytech examination. But their parents come from, like breaking stones kind of background, such humble background. But look at the quality of work they do when they come down to your organization is immense, is commendable, impeccable.
yeah, great. Awesome. I think that one question that I wanted to ask you, right? When it comes to cultural fitment, right? All of us have different ways to evaluate that, right? Again, there's no one question. Maybe you have a psychometric test, or you do a 30-minute session. You have some specific questions that you ask related to your organization. If and when you hired for the forces, what was your cultural fitment question?
No. I have not hired for the forces because
But
I
what used to be?
I think in the armed forces, people look forward to more of the honesty and darings that.
Only physical? No, no, that's why I wanted to understand this specifically.
Physical and patriotism is the only thing should be looked for.
Is that true?
No, I'm sorry, I beg to differ.
Yeah, because every one of us think it's only physical.
Yeah,
right?
I have in the house Colonel Swaroop, who is my colleague and senior from the Indian Armed Forces. He's from the engineers, by the way. He belongs to the technology side. So it's not physical at all. I have had course mates for their 7 generations in past were not in uniform. And he would not be able to complete 5-kilometer BPT test, battle physical endurance test, for sure. But he's a Shaurya Chakra. So this is more important out there because it is the decisiveness they check and how fast you can take a decision that, okay, fine, I go, and if I go down, you take over. It's that fast.
How do you evaluate that? I mean, how does that come out? Is there a process? Is there a question? Is there?
So,
or is it
Services Selection Board definitely has a process. There were in many of these panel discussions, and in my organizations also, people ask, how do you regiment this? This is a very well regimented process of hiring. You will pick up one officer for any, suppose an engineer's regiment, to infantry or artillery. He would have gone through a same spectrum of psychometric. It is either yes or no. It is not like he has scored 99, chalo isko na ek aur de ke le lo. It is not like that. It is either he has it in him or he doesn't have it. So that is how I think it works. It is binary, right? 0, 1. Waisa hai. Ya hai, nahi hai. It's like that. I think that is what works. But in corporate way that we do, we have many ways and means to manage because we are dealing with spectrum, right? That is how our graph also comes in. So there could be a performer who is at a scale of, maybe 99 percentile, and then you have a performer who is at 66 percentile. But then you put in a lot of people who are at 65% of the entire population who fill in that, and that they are the one who make your productivity. Yeah. And you go into that level where you have surpassed the financial year target at least. Not the ones who are in outlier, for sure.
Got it. Okay, I'll leave the floor open. Again, quick time check and few questions.
I mean, last 2 questions were close to my heart, but I didn't get an opportunity. I just want to add 2 minutes if
Please feel free to. Yeah.
Okay, technology usage, that is something which is very close to my heart. I just want to check how many of you over here, from what role you're performing today, 50% feel my entire day, 50% goes to non-value addition work. 50%.
100%.
50% above non-value addition work you guys are doing. You guys are not doing a core SME, what you've been hired for. If you've been hired for a recruiter, then I should do sourcing. But I end up doing call scheduling, invite sending, resume, typing, creating. Like the gentleman who said, he using some free tool to create MOMs. That's a smart way of working. So how well we are using technology matters a lot. I personally would say, if we are doing 20% or 20% or more work on non-value addition in a day, it is a criminal. So we have to see how we can bring AI, or of course that is AI, but we keep using technology, at least from my father's world. My father was the first person to digitalize metropolitan transport ticketing system anyways. So it's there since 1960. So how we automate, how we use technology to a greater extent to reduce your team's non-value addition work. I just give you one example before I hand over the mic. What I've done, volume of scale, in great Indian hiring, For one profile, the selection ratio should have been 40:1. That is, you source 40 profiles, you end up hiring one. Or probably 25 to 40 is what the industry average is. Imagine you have a small team calling 40 people for an interview. Imagine how many people should have declined the opportunity. So you should have called 150 people to schedule 40 interviews, or more than 150. Imagine the amount of time the recruiters were wasting. Sourcing is their part of the job, the core job, but scheduling, asking interest, profile screening, all value addition to my knowledge. So what I've done over here, create a small bot. This bot, it will screen resumes, 100 resumes per second. You give a constructive JD, you drop the 100 resumes in this bot, it gives you all filtered resumes where recruiter need not do anything else. Two, I am as a part B, which is still under construction. Already I've implemented interview scheduling app, which will send mail, gets acceptance, then automatically calendar will be fixed with the candidate and the panel. So now I'm also trying to integrate with WhatsApp, so that the resume goes through this bot, gets filtered. After resume gets filtered, the selected candidates from the filtered profiles will be sent a message through WhatsApp if they're interested for the job or not. We'll give a small intro about the company, about the job. And if they say yes, based on the availability, interview will be scheduled via the bot. Calendars will be sent and interview happens. Just by doing this, I have reduced a recruiter's pain by 40%. The productivity, that's its productivity increased by 40%. I don't have to hire volume of recruiters. I need to be smart. That's why I said try to automate all your processes right from demand created till the exit. Today, I can proudly say my system is completely automated. I don't have a printer in the HR bay. I don't have a printer in my HR room or in the HR bay, right? That is, technology is important. And DEI is one more part probably we need to utilize for our own benefits as well. SRM, I head HR for technology, the other spectrum which I also manage is factory. So the two different giants I manage. So we need to see what kind of resources best suit for the job, accordingly go for it. Like he said, I also explored opportunity with Kanyakumari district. When I did a drive, this happened last July, post campus came down. When I did a drive with a partnership with one known a vendor or known group, we were expecting 200 people, but we ended up getting 1,500 students walked in. We said the cutoff ratio is 80% and above after seeing the 1,500 students. Then we got 800 people. I was just wondering, are you serious? So that is the quality of talent is available everywhere. We need to identify them and accordingly utilize for your benefit, which will take care of, like Captain said, culture, fitment, or the need of resources. They can be a breadwinners. That can give a different dimension altogether. Because diversity, they bring a different diversity or different perspective to the table. So DEI, please use it effectively because that is going to be the way forward. It is not just, don't use it only for tick mark of your bucket list. My goal is done, right? So use DEI effectively and technology effectively, which will ease out your team's challenge. Yeah.
Thank you, Bala, for your insights there. Thanks, Captain. Thanks, Thiru. I think this has been really wonderful, and thanks for each and everyone who are asking questions, participating, and any final questions, comments, thoughts, or we can definitely connect. Yep. Yep. Thank you, sir. That's a very pertinent point. I think it's very important not to check the box, as Bala said. There is a lot of internal training, internal orientation, internal awareness required, not just on gender, other diversities, LGBT, all of this, right? I think it's key. Thank you. Please.
I firstly can't even imagine that in my workplace. Like I can't imagine as a recruiter, that would be my nightmare. But how do you explain that to your client? Like, how do you make them understand that this is the situation? Because you'll have to face them. And I come from a tier 2 company. So we're competing against tier 1 companies with bigger brands. And after the hard work that we put in, we need to also justify why these people didn't join. And with, like we have a Venn diagram of what we can control and what we can't control. And this would be what we can't control. The problem that I think would be that when you're competing with other multiple, like I said, so we'll be competing against your company. So it's a matter of survival of the fittest, right, when you're fighting for a client. So for them, it's A, B, C, D. So they're like, okay, this person has a better selection ratio, let's go for them. So in that case, how do you exactly justify it? Because I've had a particular role that I worked on for over 6 months. And trust me, they were asking for 8 different skill sets. And also they needed to understand how UFO works. So basically everything. And to justify why we're not finding them. So how do we tell them that this is not our incompetence? Rather, it's how the market is, and make them actually understand that. So that would be my first question. The second...
Wait, let me answer that. It's I see it differently. For me, more than a client, how I convince my team to work in that atmosphere. That was a huge challenge. Like you said, you can't even think about working in that atmosphere, right? So today, client gave you that 8 skills, 10 skills, because they also know it's not possible. That's why it's in your bucket, right? And here, client, they don't care what is a conversion ratio. It can be as part of one question during the client presentation when you are bidding for the deal. They talk about presentations, they talk about what is your offer conversion, what is your recruitment funnel looks like, right? But that's all good for the presentation. But in reality, during the situation, it differs. So client, they don't really care how many profiles you have processed. At the end of the day, have the project started on time. So here, my biggest challenge is how to keep my team motivated to go to the rigor. That is the biggest challenge I personally had rather than convincing the client. That's number one. To answer the second point, right, it is about war of talent. More of war of talent, it is more of why they come to tier 2, tier 3. If they go to tier 1, they will knock out that opportunity on day 1. They will say they will not do it. And cost competitive, right? So tier 2, tier 3 companies, sometimes they have no choice than to go win deals. It will be highly challenging, but they have to win deals. How they convert the deals and make it happen is the biggest question, which everyone needs to work on. Yeah, now the second question.
Apologies to cut you here. Just in the interest of time, we'll take that second question off stage. Right when we step down, I think you can ask that question. Okay. And yeah, definitely, sir. We'll take all the questions off stage now. Definitely you can. I just want to wrap up this. We have overshot time a bit, but we'll make sure your suggestion
We'll
is
take
taken
one
in.
last question.
We'll
Sir,
take?
please
Okay.
Go ahead with your question.
Please go ahead.
Always operations push us to an extreme, and always say that business always says that we want that candidate. Now we have to make, as an HR person, how we make that irresistible offer. So ideally, he said about making that candidate an offer which is going to be a recurring offer, 40 lakhs or this thing. I go with a joining bonus, a very good joining bonus initially. Make them join so that on the first year it happens, on the second year it doesn't happen. That's a small suggestion for bring them on board. That's an irresistible offer which he cannot refuse.
We have a lot for food for thought outside.
Yeah.
With that point.
Yeah, and I think the starters are making its rounds now. So right time. I think we have not kept track of time. That means it has been interesting, I believe. I hope we didn't bore you, but thanks again for all your questions. Wonderful insights from the panel. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
All right. That being said, I would request our speakers to please be on stage for a few more minutes as we facilitate them. Can I please have Hariharan, who is the Director of Sales of Chennai of KECA, to facilitate our speakers? Captain Parsamai, ladies and gentlemen. Next up, Bala Mumudi, I believe the star of our show. And Tirukumaran, Thank you so much for joining our session today. A huge round of applause for our speakers, everybody. Right, and in the meantime, I would just like to inform everybody that I understand that all of you all have a lot of questions coming up, right, related to the panel and related to the other things that the speakers have mentioned. At the end of our event today, we'll be sending you a feedback form. Please drop all your questions in the feedback form, and we'll make sure that those are answered, right? And that being said, we are jumping up to our next activity for tonight. That is a fireside chat. And I assure you that it will be as fiery as it sounds. So can I please call on stage our first speaker for tonight for the fireside. That is Mr. Shashikant Jayaraman. With over 2 decades of experience in managing blue, white, and pink-collared global workforces, Shashikant is serving Multicore Wear Inc. as its Chief Human Resource Officer. Having mentored several young HR professionals, Shashikant has also coached startup founders and been recognized as 40 under 40 future HR leaders of India for 2020. Please, Shashi, come on stage. Lovely. Next up, we have Ramanathan. With over 20 years of experience, Mr. Ramanathan has worked with Deutsche Bank, GE Healthcare, United Breweries, and more in the past. He's currently working as the Chief Human Resource Officer of Dr. Agarwal's High Clinic. Can we please have Ram on stage? Lovely. And then the moderator is me. A little, introduction about me as well. So I am Dr. Nishat Afzal, for everybody who doesn't know. And the doctor doesn't stand for a PhD. I'm an actual doctor. I'm a maxillofacial surgeon. And been working with KECA for the past 4 years. I lead the communications department here. So yeah, let's begin the conversation. Right. So, before we go ahead, I have one question for all of y'all. What is your primary motivator to work? Money. Your boss? Okay. That's some very interesting thought from there. Anybody who agrees that your boss is your primary motivator? Will I see any hands coming up? Lovely, sir. You have some supporters. Is your boss here by any chance? He's not here. But we have the recording just in case you want to show it to him. Oh, your appraisal next year, right? I'm sorry? Oh, okay. So there is like a indirect proportionality to it, right? Definitely. Anybody? Sorry? Okay, the first motivator is the boss. If we are thinking about from the aspect that the boss is giving you the money, then okay, understandable. But the boss being the primary motivator in everything, yes, makes sense. I think that definitely makes sense. What do you think?
Well, I couldn't agree more completely. I think he's just echoing what not just the HR professionals, but every employee thinks about, right?
Absolutely. I think HRs and employers alike also, because at the end of the day, employees are also working for money, right?
There's nothing called work pressure. There is always EMI pressure.
I think very rightly said. And with that, I think I come to the point where we understand that money, salary is the driving factor for anybody and everybody to work. Nobody here can say that no, money is not what I'm working for. Money might be the, tertiary factor or something, but primary, I'm very, attached to my work, attached to my company and everything. So money is the primary factor we understand here. But we also understand that workplace priorities have changed. There are different generations coming up. There's Gen Z, there are baby boomers still working, there are millennials like me, and there's Generation Alpha also now. I don't know what more terminologies they have left, but this is the situation currently, right? So my question to you first, Ram, is that do you think a hike will be enough to satisfy the priorities of all of these generations? Will it be enough to retain them?
Sure. Firstly, thanks, Nishat, for hosting me here. I think it's a pleasure being in the conference. I did hear what the audience said. I kind of slightly disagree with that. Not that salary is not important. Of course, it is. It's hygiene, right? And I think it's cliche if I speak of Maslow's hierarchy and all that. But I think the reality is, it is a driver. But I think for the knowledge worker, it can't be the primary driver. I think clearly we are talking of total rewards, right? I think when some of the audience spoke of boss, spoke of promotion, career, we are talking of total rewards. And compensation or salary or pay, what we speak is one aspect of what total rewards is, right? And total rewards encompasses the entire gamut, which is benefits, which is wellness, which is your insurance, which is flexibility. You spoke about the divergent workforce that we have, right? Gen Zs and millennials. They're asking about flexibility, right?
True.
Okay, from the world of 9 to 5 jobs, post-COVID, pandemic, we're talking about hybrid, with TCS and other companies saying that you have to come back. People are quitting TCS, right? Why?
Yeah.
Because they want the flexibility. They've tasted the luxury of sitting on the couch and doing the coding, right? They've exploited that luxury. So, and that's a lever of a currency for conversation with the employer, right? So I would beg to differ that it's the primary driver for the knowledge worker, because we're talking about the organized sector, right? We're talking about the organized sector, not people who are the large workforce. For the organized sector, it is a driver, but beyond certain levels, it can never be the primary driver, because, and it can never be a hook. It can never be a hook to retain talent, because people, you join a company for a high salary, but we leave our bosses. We leave when we have changed jobs for a large part of time. We've always changed because something was not right.
Correct.
And beyond a point, compensation is never that. That's my view.
Right. Shashi, do you agree?
I mean, I totally agree. In fact, I'm reminded of this old advertisement of one of the leading automobile majors. I mean, it's a closed group. We can even take names. You're talking of Maruti Suzuki, right?
Okay.
In this
Remind us of
advertisement-
that advertisement.
I'm sorry?
Please. Remind us of that advertisement.
I will. So you're talking of, here is a NASA scientist talking an audience through the model of the rocket and the features and what it does. And then one guy suddenly walks up and says, "Kitna deta hai?" Which is, in Hindi, translated as, "How much does it give?" He's obviously referring to mileage. The Indian consumer is a car consumer, might have different priorities of luxury, features, ADAS, safety, whatever you call. At the core, it is what mileage does it offer.
Right. What is the basic commodity?
If I were to, and HR professionals here would obviously agree, right? Day in and day out, we talk about being a great place to work. We talk about scoring high on net promoter scores, Gallup surveys and whatnot. And then the single driving force is, how much can you offer? I get 10 lakhs, you offer 20 lakhs, okay, great. And then 2 days later, the guy comes back and says, "Hey, you know what, I accepted your offer, but there's somebody offering me 23. Can we talk at 25? Right? So we are talking, there is no end to needs, right? If I had a magic wand, I would say, can we draw boundaries like how you have capabilities that are limited in a resume? Can we have some limit on your needs and wants? That doesn't happen. Right? So everybody believes, right? It's like this. When you are a job seeker, when you are an employee, it's like, okay, I talk about learning, growth, culture, working for a good boss. Statistics have time and again proved that 87% of employees leave their bosses, not their companies. So the trigger is bad culture. But still, when you come, the primary driver or behavior is through the need, which is, you know what, make hay while the sun shines. And, I think the industry by and large has also been party to it, right? We have had too many oscillations. I think if you talk about the economic slowdowns and downturns, I think the frequency is increasing, which means the insecurity in the mind of a typical job seeker has also risen. I mean, to be fair, I will not blame. So they say, hey, let's make hay while the sun shines. So we might sugarcoat it. We might put some bhujia. We can put some coriander to it. But the base of that bale is the fact called, how much money do I have? We talk about total rewards, insurance, that's all there. But to me, the philosophy is construct around what money can you offer. So conservative organizations are actually falling behind the race, and that's a trend I'm consistently seeing with unfailing regularity.
I see. I think with that, we come to the point of stay interviews as well, correct? There's a trend going on. That is a quitting trend, which is why Gartner came up with the word of the great renegotiation. There was the great resignation. There was a lot of things revolving around, employees and everything. There were mass layoffs happening in the pandemic era, right? But then now the tables have turned. The power is now in the employee's hand, correct? And employees are quitting at a pace that hasn't been seen before. I think there are multiple reasons for it. And a lot of those reasons will be discovered during stay interviews. So how many of y'all, how many companies actually, implement these stay interviews or exit interviews for that matter? Do you actually do that in your companies? With the show of hand, just let me know if you conduct stay interviews and exit interviews. Right. So I'm talking in comparison of the stay interviews and exit interviews as well. In conjunction, how many of y'all do exit interviews? Only exit interviews. Okay, a lot of them. Okay, so what are some of the primary factors that you listen to what are the top reasons that, you know, your employees mention? Is it because they have other opportunities, or is it because, you know, they just want to take a career break? Anybody who would want to mention the top, probably 2 or 3 reasons? Yes, please. Can we have a mic over here?
Great 30%, 40%. And
Right.
then there is a person who is loyal to the company, is getting 8%, 9% year on year. He feels like, okay, only if I go out, I get 30% jump, and I will come back as a rehire and get the next level or anything for that matter. I think that is very important for us to understand what is the growth trajectory for the candidate or the employee, and how they can match to the employees who are been coming from outside. Yeah.
Correct. But then I think the career mapping is wrong. What career mapping you're doing of your employees is wrong then. So you were saying something at that point? All lies.
I want my FNF to be done. So I want my FNF, I want my reliving. So I want my background verification also in a positive way. So
Okay.
that's only.
So anybody who really agrees that whatever is mentioned during the exit interviews is, you know, a lie?
Hello?
50% lies. Yes, please.
So what we do here is, the exit interview at the time the employee moves out of the organization, we do that. Then after 3 months or 4 months of a time, we have external agency. They do the exit interview on our behalf. And what we found is, the 2 statements are totally different. Okay, at the time of exit interview, when they do in front of the HR and when they give feedback to the external agency is completely different.
But my question here is, does that employee know that this external agency is related to you?
Yes.
And still they give varied statements.
At the time they are able to give. Because at the time of exit, what they feel is, why don't we have, they need to have a smooth exit.
Right.
Okay,
Honesty,
so they don't want to.
honesty is when you have received your relieving letter and full and final settlement, period. Avladhaan. That's all. Why would somebody want to talk about CEO wants monthly report, how many exits, what is the trend? HRs don't generally play with data. By conducting a 20-minute conversation, we get data, we show CEO happy, I am happy, my hike is taken care. That's all.
Whatever you were saying, that I was supposed to say that. That is the reason.
You just...
So I'll take the initiative to say same pinch.
So yeah, I think that's what revolves around the globe, for that matter, not just India. But I think a major factor is also because, during the COVID era, right, a lot of people understood their hidden talents, and a lot of people understood that they can also be entrepreneurs, right? So how does that set into the entire great renegotiation era? And how do you think that, puts into perspective retention and attrition rate? What's your stand on it?
I think entrepreneurship is here to stay, right? And I think our ability, our appetite to take risks probably 10, 15 years back to where it is now is much, much more. So what we are clearly seeing from workforce is taking sabbaticals, looking at, people are looking at what their ikigai is, right? I think what is their purpose, what is the sweet spot of your passion, your vocation, your profession.
True.
Taking care of your hygiene, right? Nobody is questioning about the MI pressure and all of that. But in addition to that, are there opportunities where I can also do something which is more fulfilling to my inner self? So I think the risk appetite in general has increased. Again, given the audience we are speaking about knowledge workers, I think a lot more we are definitely seeing in the industry of people looking at sabbaticals and revisiting what is it that we want to achieve in the long run. Right? I think it's mixed views that people are open to take risks, and there are people who want to have the conservative mindset, okay, I will get my year-on-year increment and run my show.
A 9-to-5 job.
9-to-5 kind of a job, but there are increasing number of people who are much, much open to looking at, revisiting what career opportunities are and all of that.
I'm sure. I mean, Shashi, what do you think about gig economy? Because again, gig economy is taking up pace and everything. People have been talking about it a lot. But is it really materializing? Because still people do prefer a 9-to-5 job, right? They do prefer to have stability and safety that this much amount of money is going to come to my home at the end of the month.
See, the gig economy is here to stay. Let's accept that. First and foremost is that it offers tremendous amount of flexibility that aligns with the culture and thought process of the youngsters of today.
Right.
Why would I want to say hello, good morning, good evening to the person I hate the most, also called as the boss? I want to be loyal to my idea. I want to ensure that I extract every ounce of the talent within me, and I want to live life on my own terms. You talk about entrepreneurship, right? Ease of doing business, mudra loans, make in India. the ecosystem for being an entrepreneur has never been better than now.
True.
So it creates an organic, natural tendency for people to explore, saying, you know, even if you fail, it's not taboo, right?
Right.
I may be a startup founder. I could still find an alliance for myself. Gone are the days when you will have to, you know, mention, you know, BE, MBA, senior manager, some company, some wedding cards go to an extent of saying 25 lakhs per annum. So you don't require any of those anymore. Right? It throws open a completely new perspective of working. What it does is, the biggest charm of the gig economy is, we are talking of two. We are talking of blue collars and white collars. With white collars, it opens up a fantastic opportunity to collaborate and put your talent to a higher purpose and test across the globe. I am not confined to one workplace, to one boss, to one culture, to one particular organization which has its own pace of growth. I can live life on my own terms. I can calibrate my needs, my growth, right? Sitting in the confines of my home, I can work for a client in Israel, funded by an American, supported by a Chinese, sitting in Guduvanjeri, very much Chennai. enjoying ACT broadband and doing life on my own terms, and also watching that OTT movie when I have to.
But you know what, though Shashi says this, you know, when you look at stats, clearly it's far from where it should be. While I completely agree, it is here to stay. We speak of Shamrock organization, Charles Handy model of the core and all of it. It was 15, 20 years back, right? And when you look at Western economies to where India is, I think it's still not real yet. As much as it's ideal and it is here to stay, I think we still have a long way from a mindset standpoint, no? I think from a whole cultural mindset of, are we open to explore this flexibility of working with multiple projects? And we really don't see them from a data standpoint of it really there.
One of the, if I may add to what Ram says, right? Not a contrarian point, but just a point for us to ponder upon. The IT industry has not been the beneficiary of in vogue latest labor laws that will aid its ecosystem. The manufacturing sector has laws like the Industrial Disputes Act and the Factories Act, which come from a pre-independence era.
Correct.
Both of them have not been served well. Here is an opportunity to get it third time lucky or third time right, where if the government, the bureaucracy is able to create a conducive atmosphere where the grievances are heard, fair practices are available, stable measures are in place, I'm sure people lap it up. The number of entrepreneurs that have risen in the last 10 years is primarily because of the taboo that's gone away from the society, the financial ease, access to borrowing, access to capital that's been made available. If similarly we are able to make available a set of labor practices that align with the gig economy, we are talking of explosive, transformational opportunities. And mind you, India is the largest powerhouse of youngsters in the world as we speak.
I am sure.
A whole bunch of talent is waiting to be harnessed.
Correct. And I think that brings me to the point of, entrepreneurship, as you were rightly mentioning. How many founders do we have in the house? Any founders of companies and everything? Because I know for a fact that, we do have a lot of HRs who are founders and everything. Any founders in the house? Yes, sir. What do you think about the gig economy? Because, I mean, given the fact that you are also working as an HR.
Yeah, I come from a manufacturing background. I seriously admit that I don't know what is gig economy. That is a fact.
Appreciate your honesty, sir.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are quite a few who wouldn't understand.
If I may add, sir, a workforce which has no union.
Correct. So
very rightly put.
That's a thing. So I believe that that is you get that freedom if you don't have that workforce without union. Obviously, you have that. Obviously, if there is a union, every day it's a nightmare. So I come from a manufacturing sector. So I started my thing in last 6 months. I was working for a manufacturing sector for a decade, 2 decades almost. So after that, I started my own. That is the thing. It's obviously the first 6 months or 1 year is obviously a tough phase. So that's how I think entrepreneurship, as he said, is a risk. I've taken that.
All the best, sir. All the best.
Yeah, thank you.
Right, I think, and it's also the fact that you know, a lot of people, a lot of reasons why people quit their jobs is because of burnout, right? But we talk a lot about burnout, like I have been burnt out, or that person, you know, is not feeling good, so he has taken a sabbatical and everything. But what do you think is the root cause of burnout? I mean, why is that even happening in the first place? I mean, especially for Indians, when we know the fact that money is the primary driving factor, you're getting the money.
I'll go in the
Why
same
burnt
order,
out?
Ram. Go for it. Opening batsman.
I think it's boss. I think a poor boss is a direct correlation to burnouts. I think to simply put the answer, right? That said, I think we in HR are custodians of culture. I think we have an immensely important role to kind of be the North Star of what the culture of the organization is and how we could look at avoiding some of these burnout aspects and all of that. But clearly, I think poor managers, poor leaders directly correlate to how the symptoms and the root causes of how some of the stress levels in the organizations are. When you look at Japanese economy and all of that, your employees, your team members don't leave till the manager leaves, right?
Correct.
Very different to what it is in the West. But I'm doubtful if India is very different to where the Eastern economies are. I think still there is that psyche and the mindset of, oh, my manager has asked, I need to give this data, I need to go once he leaves. So and there is this whole, everything is very hand in glove with regards to poor leadership and how this translates to. So I think that's where the direct correlation is. And HR has a big role to play with regards to how this whole thing can be dealt with.
I look at a macro picture of where this burnout is coming from, right? It's while it is largely individual driven, managers driving the culture and expecting more, why does the manager behave so? A company doesn't suffer from burnout when it is in its seed funding or angel funding. Series A comes, and that's where the pressure starts, because you are answerable. You are loyal to your idea, but you also need to be answerable to an investor who's put his money on you.
Absolutely.
He's going to choke his pressure right on you saying, hey, I put my money. Where is the ROI? I am looking at an exit in 18 months, or I'm looking at amplifying in 24 months. The burnout starts there because we set targets. The board sets targets, the CEO sets targets, saying this is where we want the company to be. Which company sets targets? This is where we want to be in our well-being. Right? So it's not even a priority.
True.
To me, I look at my manpower in the lens of horsepower. Right? This machine can run at 100 kilometers per hour.
Right.
Can this guy look at? So when you're looking at things in the same lens, when you're looking at your people as an asset, you also need to understand that the asset needs downtime, like how factories have it factored. Factories have productivity schedules put for the entire year, and the target of revenue, productivity matrices is all, factored, keeping that in mind.
Correct.
Where is it keeping our people in mind? How many companies mandate compulsory vacation leave? We don't do that. So the will has to come from the board. And HR, let me tell you, we are the most villainized community in the entire corporate world.
Everybody agrees. Everything.
I'm telling you, see, unless we are given the wherewithal or the autonomy to take a decision saying this is how I will do it, right? The CEO says we have to do it because the board wants us to do it. Why does the board want to do it? Because the investor wants us to do it. It starts right there, not here at a cultural level, right? And then what happens? You have to follow, you have to play to it. Chalo yaar. And HR is at a precarious situation. I am the wicket keeper with the best view of the cricket pitch, but it is still the captain who calls the shots.
Correct.
I'll just add to what Shashi says. No, sorry, I'm just stretching the thread. I think two parts. I think spot on to his articulation of what he said. I think one key thing is, I think that's where the role of the leader comes in.
True.
The leader's ability to absorb the pressure rather than just cascading it down to the teams, right? And that's why the leader is paid much more than what a team member is. So there is always the pressure from the investors. There is always pressure from once it goes public from the markets, or be it from the board. I think the role of the leader is to absorb that pressure. So that's one. And second, I think just to a different take to what he's saying, I think as much as we say HR is the most victimized function of it, I think that's where our credibility as a function comes as to, have we earned the respect of the CEO? Have we earned the respect of challenging with our business acumen if we are able to articulate to the business leader why well-being is actually a lever for growth, why diversity is a lever for growth, else it's a nice, it's a good to do, not a must to do, right? I think that's where the credibility of the HR function is to be established. I think gone are the days when you talk of HR at the seat of the table, under the table, around the table and all of that, right? We need to earn the credibility of first, HR needs to understand what business is. HR can't just be talking of this nice English, nice Women's Day celebrations. No, I'm not disrespecting the need for Women's Day celebration. Don't get me wrong. But I think
I call it the Rangoli management.
Yeah, the whole birthday party, let's organize the birthday party, let's do the Rangoli competition. I think Dave Ulrich speaks of HR 2.0, he's speaking of, do we understand what's the revenue cycle coming? What is our P&L looking like? Where is the EBITDA flowing through happening? Once we have the credibility of understanding what the financial flow through is, you earned the credibility for having a conversation with the CEO. Then the CEO will also listen to you. Why a well-being, why diversity is actually a lever for growth. Else, why is he even going to listen to us, right? So that's just a different topic.
Talk the language of the CEO that he understands best, right? And that's the business language, and then you get what you want. That's exactly what Ram is saying, and I agree to his perspective on how we need to maintain credibility. A lot of times we are apprehensive because we don't know the business fully yet.
Right, but Shashi mentioned that, HRs don't get a lot of say in businesses and everything. The word comes from the CEO, or which actually comes from the investor, and then he has to just proceed with it.
Yeah.
Correct? So this question is to the people who raised their hands when they said that the boss was the primary motivator. Does your boss allow you to make some business decisions? I want the people who had raised their hands saying that their boss was the primary motivator. Was there somebody over here? Or nobody wants to raise their hands anymore?
You need to decide, you need to define what is that business decision, right?
That was supposed to be the question. That is the reason I asked it.
Fun Friday, celebrating birthday is our decision, right? You need to define what is a decision, right? See, not the budget, yeah. Well said, Thomas.
All right, so, but what decisions does your CEO or your boss lets you take? Then how is your boss your primary motivator? Yes, please. 1 second, sir. Please complete your word.
Madam, HR is a toothless tiger that is presented very good by the management team to shape their face. So HR cannot take any decision in the company. It's the board and the management that took the decision. We are only the one who drive to make it happen. And we are the one who feel the heat from the employee.
So you're a catalyst in the real sense.
Yeah, because employees are the one who are being exploited like anything, because the supply is very high at India. You see in the hospital sector also, people are not given the minimum wages also. So what more we can expect from the management and all?
I think I agree that hospitals are not getting the minimum wages. That is why I'm presently sitting here.
Yeah. I started my career from Apollo Hospital.
Moving on to just conclude on a lighter note on this particular segment. I hear him say that HR has all the authority, empowerment, courage to state that we will get back to you.
Yes.
Yes, sir, you were saying something. Can we have the microphone here?
I was just saying that we have only one say, shortlisting the profile is the one ownership which we have. Apart from that, we don't have anything to do with.
Nothing.
The rest of all is on the boss hands. You just go with the shortlisting, that's it.
But I really want to know the people who had raised their hands earlier. Who are those people? I know one of them was sir sitting right here. Does your boss allow you to take some decisions, like business decisions? No, but you still love him. Okay, then why do you like your boss?
Let's make Nishad feel happy. Guys, we have all come here for an evening of networking, dinner and whatnot. We must make Nishad and the KK team happy. HR has empowerment to take decisions to accept KK as a HRMS at the workplace.
Yeah.
Those are some things that we are.
Your names, whoever's agreeing with Shashi, please raise your hand. KK team, note down the numbers, please. Everybody.
We will get back to you.
Yeah, I think the next part, coming to the next part is, retaining employees, right? Let's go back to the serious conversation here. It's about retaining employees. So I read recently on Gartner that the West is seriously thinking of a 4-day work week, right? What do you think about a 4-day work week? Is it possible? Everybody has a lot to say on that.
There are two things I look at it. There are, Personally, if you ask me, feels nice to say I work for a 4-week work week company. But I see, as the CHRO of a company, right, with about 25 years of experience, I can tell you all along, there are two kinds of policies. There are serious policies which add value to employees, and there are sexy policies which give enough fodder for PR. To me, we have not adopted 4-day work week yet well enough. I'll talk from an Indian context, then probably if time permits, we can go to a global context, because this is typically flowing in from Europe and the West. India is mandating 4-day work week, not mandating, is suggesting 4-day work week with a 48-hour conformity, which means I need to compress 12 hours of work in a day. We are talking of burnout, we are talking of gig economy, we are talking of all the excuses before we came to this point, right? This will actually drive people away, right? With a hybrid model in place, with some kind of flexibility offered, with some kind of benefits and wonderful insurance coverage and benefits, I think we'll still do good with a 5-day work week. In a manufacturing sector, many of the MNCs that have set shop in India eye the export market, right? And there is a huge amount of productivity expectation from there. When you put it as a 4-day work week, you're going to terribly, fall short of the investment plans that you have made here. So that's not going to fly at all. If you talk about all the new age economy organizations, it's always a catch-up, because the moment I relax a bit, my competitor is waiting to grab that space. So there is no thing called rest, right? You are constantly in that race. There is no tortoise, there is only hare. You keep running and running and running. Since there is no tortoise, you will continue to run without taking that complacent sleep from the fable that we have heard in our childhood. So, long story short, 4-day work week. I'm not sure if many companies have piloted it yet. I am not seeing corporate India lap it up with as much enthusiasm as the Western world has. Even there, it is largely pilot, barring Iceland, France, and a couple of European companies. I think it's all sporadic. I would like to believe that HR is not a one-size-fits-all. Horses for courses work. It works there, good for them. They continue to invest in India. Maybe when there is an Indian company which goes and invests there, we can call the shots and say, we'll work 3 days and enjoy for 4 days. Those guys can work 5 days or 7 days. Long way to go. Pipe dream at this point in time as I see it.
What do you think, Ram?
No, I think I completely agree to what he's saying. I think clearly, when we look at our Human Development Index, we are not there. We are competing with China, Philippines, Eastern economies for getting your work, getting transitioned here. Why? Because we have a talented workforce. We have a workforce which is hardworking, which has the linguistic skills of English. That's precisely the reason why they're even looking at investing in India. And nobody is a fool. No businessman is a fool to invest without reaping the benefits of productivity and everything. So clearly that needs to be dealt. When Narayana Murthy spoke of 70-hour work week, 70 hour is just a number that he put out. What he means is, are we working hard enough, right? And we need to work hard enough because we are competing with economies which are really having similar workforce who are willing to contribute to the global growth of GDP, right? So I think clearly, we are far from where 4-day work week is going to be. I think it's a good to do. I will want to work in such a kind of a company, but I don't think I'm going to work.
You remember the song in school that we all used to listen in the prayer and sing, the assembly? It goes like, "Hum honge kamyab ek din, pura hai vishwas, man mein hai vishwas, hum honge kamyab ek din." I mean, translation, I'm a Tamilian, so not that I support Hindi, just to clarify.
We shall overcome.
We shall overcome, we will become successful one day. We have full confidence. We are certain we will become successful one day. Neither the guy who wrote it, nor all of us who sang it, defined a tat for it. So it's a dream, it continues to be a dream, and definitely not in the foreseeable future. One perspective I want to add to what Ram also was saying was that when you say 4-day work week, we started by talking about EMI. A large extent of the workforce still is enslaved to EMIs. When I say EMIs, to a certain committed quality of life, which is because of family needs or individual needs. It could be anything, let's not go there. But the larger perspective is, I have more to accomplish. There is energy on my side. I'm still youthful. I will probably do a gig economy and work for 3 days in some other company. You end up working 7 days a week, greater burnout, more health issues. Humpty Dumpty came crashing down. This is not going to work. So unless we are matured enough, we are able to receive it in a certain manner, I don't think our workforce is ready. I don't think corporate India is absolutely ready for this at all.
Right. I think that also underlines and finishes our conversation for today, that mentions about retaining employees. We know for a fact now that money is not the primary factor. There are also a lot of other factors involved, but then they're all secondary at the end of the day, right? This is primary. So what are your closing thoughts for, this statement that will hikes be enough for employees to be retained? Because, for example, I'll give you an example of one of the companies that I worked in the past. I had a friend, and he was working with 5 lakhs per annum, and that was a first entry-level job, but still, either way. So what happened is that he got a job offer for Dubai, and he wanted to move there because he initially had asked the organization, his boss, that he wanted an increase, he wanted a hike. And they very clearly told him that 6 to 7% is the maximum that we can offer you. The maximum that they offered was around 5.5 to 6. And he said that he is not okay with it. But then he kept quiet. He didn't really tell that to this organization. And a month later, he submitted his resignation, saying that I'm quitting. I have a job in Dubai now and all of that, lifestyle change and everything. Even though he was not getting as much as he's supposed to for the lifestyle of Dubai. But he still wanted to move. And that is when they offered him a 50% raise. So what do you think, why does this happen, and is this the HR's role here? What's an HR's role here? Because at the end of the day, the resignation will also come down to the HR, right? As an head HR, for that matter, what will you do in that position?
I'll just take a view, probably contrary to what the public view is. I think salary hikes are more than enough. And let me take a minute to explain what I mean. When Bala was talking of the example of the Java technologists at a 6 lakh package going to 12 lakh and up to 46 lakh, right? I think there is always a player who's out there in the market who will pay you more. That's always there, right? And I think the question is about, are we being fair? Are we being competitive? Are we being transparent in the conversations with our colleagues in the process, right? Why is a certain individual getting a certain amount of hike? Why is a certain, I always want the moon, right? But am I competent? Do I have the skill sets? Am I that critical? It could be personal critical, it could be performance critical, it could be skill critical. Do I command that kind of a pay in the market? Do I have the data point? So it's about affordability. So when we talk of hikes, it's just not about what I want. It's a question about the affordability of the company, at what scale the company can pay. It's about the ability to kind of what I bring to the table, it translating into the bottom line. So I think clearly it is one of the levers, I think, but hikes are always more than enough is where my go-to will be.
I would say keep the communication on, right? The day you compromise on good employee is to HR ratio at the shop floor or in the software development floor of an IT park, wherever it is, you have already taken the priority of people off your list. I know a healthy practice is to have one HR executive or a HR business partner for every maybe 150 employees, at best 250 employees. The moment you don't provide replacements to the HR team because we don't generate revenue to the company and we are seen as a cost center, and one guy is asked to handle 1,500, and the enabling ecosystem is, hey, I'm giving you a chatbot, I'm giving you a shared service center, I'm giving you a help desk, everything is automated, they just have to click on the app and then they get their query addressed. Where is the touch point?
Right.
Where is the touch point to the employee? Unless I talk, unless I say, I'll tell you, the biggest problem that I see today in a workforce, in a typical workforce, and I'm also part of it, right? Not that I'm not. In a typical workforce is, people have stopped this habit of smiling and greeting each other as you walk into the office. What are we talking about? Right? Completely disconnected. Right? You are in your own world, and thanks to all the AirPods and the gizmos, you just put on your headsets, you are in your own zone working. You don't want to be disturbed. Where are those water cooler conversations? Where are those tea breaks, dum breaks? Where are those water cooler conversations? If you have the pulse, you can always forewarn the company saying, hey, There is a disaster in waiting. You better budget more than the 6% that you're talking about. I'm actually subscribing to what Ram says. If hike is the primary driver to retain somebody, let's accentuate it. Let's amplify it. Why are we not doing it? Somewhere in the name of technology, we are losing the soul of connecting, which is the primary reason why all of us do MSW, MA HRMs, MBA HRs, and then come to the corporate bandwagon. As long as we retain the soul of this, connect, engage, retention is still manageable, hikes are still manageable. At the end of the day, people work for people. There is a lot of chemistry in HR.
Correct. Lovely. With that, we come to the end of our conversation here. I can still take a question or two if somebody has a question, or else we can redirect all the questions to the feedback form that I was mentioning. So with that, yes, please, we have a question here. By employee? For the employee.
There is no discussion about mental health. Mental health is the most important part. Why are HRs not involved in that? Are they not involved in that because they are also mentally harassed? That is the fact.
So I think probably I'll take it and Shashi
It is
can add
the fact.
in.
It is a fact. I'm not talking joke. I've been in this industry for 30 years.
Yes, sir. So
mental health is very, very critical.
Yeah, I think.
Why are people not understanding that?
Yeah. So I think if I may add, sir, I think it's a pertinent point that you're making. I think one of the reasons also is the whole subject of mental health has a taboo associated with clearly in India, right? There is if I'm going to a psychologist for a therapy, I'm looked down upon by my family. I'm looked down upon if I'm going for counseling. Is everything okay with you? I'm okay to go to a medical doctor for my fever, for my appendicitis, for any operation. That's fine. For physical health, if I go for a doctor checkup, it's completely fine. But I go to a medical practitioner for counseling, for a mental health issue, for my depression. And honestly, how many of us understand what depression is? And there is a huge taboo associated with the whole subject. And to your point, sir, how many of us in HR are actually educated of, we in HR joke about, I want depressed, pa. I want to go raise stress. Pa. Do we really understand what is stress, what is depression? Because we paint the whole brush with the same color, right? So I think it's to do with a lot of education, us being in HR being more sensitive to it as a subject. I think like how there is a lot of traction towards diversity and especially gender and all of it. I think mental health is clearly one of those topics which is still not evolved as a topic of conversations in the boardroom and at all levels.
Mental health is a part of life. Yeah. Why don't they understand that?
You know what, sir? Some of these people who leave don't even know that they are affected mentally.
They are. They
காரணம் தெரியாம பேப்பர் போட்டு போறாங்க சார். எனக்கு இது இன்னும் ரொம்ப வேதனையா இருக்கு. It's a bigger problem to address. I stand with you in true spirit that the next decade, while AI will continue to keep knocking at our doors, AI plus HI, human intelligence plus artificial intelligence, correct. Mental health has to be a priority. I think corporate India is on the cusp of gathering a critical mass to give it that momentum and give all the impetus it needs. It will happen.
It has to happen. It has to happen. Or else
it will.
It is very difficult. It's going to be very difficult.
Let us acknowledge your spirit of the
5
question.
5 years or 10 years, there'll be even the Gen X and Gen Alphas and Gen Zs also will all be affected by mental health.
Sure.
People have to understand that mental health is parcel of everyone's life. They should understand and not treat them as different.
I appreciate your spirit of this, sir. We stand with you. We share your spirit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the extremely interesting question over there. And anybody else who wants to ask a question? Yes, sir.
Also, a owner, think like a CEO for each and every one, and remove all the salary system. Bring the ROI and bring I personally know this is going to happen, not going to happen, but it's a thought process in terms of when each and everyone work towards in one direction, and there is open transparency in terms of the ROI, in terms of the investment. When there is a return comes, it is equally split across the designation. Then that's where the real purpose of life get achieved. The drug will eradicate it. And in terms of all your questions in terms of retention, in terms of mental happiness, in terms of why I'm coming for a job, am I really happy to when I woke up in the morning, am I really happy to get into my work? That actually the real spirit to get into the job.
Right. What do you think about
I
that,
think,
Ram?
I think it, clearly, somebody spoke about minimum wages, right? I think there is a reason why a base pay exists in the industry, in the sector, across states, where there is a hygiene which is defined what the base pay is. But beyond that, when we talk of incentives, and that's what I spoke of, total rewards, right? Incentives are linked to your bottom line or top line, depending on what your roles are. It's
My request
important.
is not for incentives. My request is to make employee aware of what is the company is getting invested and what is the ROI the company is making, so that what is the profit they are making, and the profit sharing has been given to the employees. We are making them as a owners, not as a employees. When that is going to happen, all this will get changed.
Sorry to play a little contrarian view there. Then what is the incentive for being an entrepreneur?
That's what I'm saying. Based on the levels, it will get cascaded. For example, make it a 50% to the owners and remaining 50%, let it be open. Let it be transparent. Let them know. Let them know what exactly they are playing for. If they are not playing good, they are ready to take the salary cuts as well. There are few employees who are ready to take that also if the complete ownership is given to them.
I think we should talk more about this offline during dinner. I would like to engage in a... No, I'm not cutting him short. I'm just trying to understand the perspective more. We'll talk about it, sir.
Lovely. All right. And we finally come to the end of the very interesting discussion that we had over here. Thank you so much, everybody, for being as engaging as you were today. I haven't seen a more engaging and participative audience. So huge round of applause for everybody sitting here. Wonderful audience. Thank you so much. And that being said, can I please call on stage Hariharan for facilitating the speakers?
Can I make a mention?
Yes, please.
See, this is what happens to HR. When we are at the forefront, we do a lot of work, but we go unnoticed.
Right.
The audience was pampered with a lot of starters by the hotel all around. But 3 people seated here did not get anything. That's the life of HR. Okay. On that note, I want to join Ram. And you in thanking. This feels like playing on a cricket pitch, guys. 360 degrees with people. I've never been in such a thing. I'm sorry I had to face that side. My apologies to this side and largely to this side of the group as well. But then, if not for your sportiveness in accommodating such an arrangement, I'm sure I would have walked out in an embarrassed manner. Thank you very much for being a lovely audience. I'd like to state that along with Ram. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone. Can we please have Hari on stage? All right, perfect. Thank you so much, Ram and Shashi. It was a pleasure. Thank you. All right. And that being said, we have something called a workshop right now, correct? This is going to be more of a demo that KK has recently launched. Okay, how many of you here know what, the modules that KK serves? Anybody who knows what modules KK has? Correct, attendance, payroll, the basic, modules that any HRMS provides. But apart from that, there is something called a PSA and a very strong suit of a PMS, a gist of which will be shown by the Director of Sales Chennai, that is Hariharan over here. So can we please have Hariharan on stage with a huge round of applause, everybody?
Hi friends, and thanks for Shashi to introduce all these villains, and sorry for that. I'm trying to make you guys as a small hero with KK. So, a small thing. So how many of you team are using HRMS software in your organization? Almost. So we are looking this one as an opportunity because you people won't be here in the same company a decade maximum, or you may be shift over, right? So we will see that another set of a new entry of industries will come to us as a field that you are looking. So why I'm here is 2 factors. When I say you are using, everyone is using automation as application. Can I understand how many of your companies running payroll cycle in the mid-month? If I say as 20 to 21st or 25 to 26, attendance cycle is 1 to 30th. Is getting deferred, right? Are you guys running both in the same time? Why? Being automated, you are using application. Anyone thought of that? Why after using software, after using ERP, so many applications, even though you are taking some buffer time to do it some activities as a manual. So here, yeah, thanks for the insight, because obviously there will be some errors, some itineraries will be there that will be getting missing. But what KK is doing here, if I talk about what we are using of multiple tools is nothing but a future which is being automated. But whether the automation is there between the futures, take it as module wise if I talk about like core HRIS, attendance will directly speak to payroll, or performance will directly speak to payroll. So someone should have to extract the data, output of that particular module, or feed as an input to the another module. This is what is happening in today's era, even if you're saying is automation. But what KK is doing, we are not automated the future. Future is also automated, plus we automated the people's process. Where or what kind of data should have to push to which module as the input. Instead of you extracting as a manual process, how KK application is fetching those output as an input to the another module. So what we are justifying here, because the first question which I asked, how many companies that you guys are having a mid-month calculations? So what is the success ratio of KK that we have it? Currently we have 8,500 plus customers. For the past couple of years, for the 8 years we run the show, the people or the company who used our application from the first 5 years, we automated or they are using now 1 to 30th cycle, both payroll and attendance. That means attendance. That's the success ratio that we showed it. How it is possible? Because we automated the people's process more than the future process. For example, attendance came as output from multiple locations because you guys are the enterprise team. If I say enterprise in the sense, multiple locations, the people you might be having multiple branches. So output or input should have to come from multiple branches, right? That I had to extract, feed as an input, that we automated. So when you say as a future, what KK have, now currently what are the application that you are using, it might be attendance, payroll and everything. Yes, we are also have the same thing. But what we automated, if I say it is not about the future, even the people's process. So added to that, we have two modules, which is a PMS, we call as a performance management system, and another module called as PSA, professional service automation that we have it. So what are these two? Take it as Hari. I might be joining your organization, but the reason for hiring Hari might be some purpose. You might be defining some KPIs or KRAs. Am I reaching it or not? So what are the KPIs that you are setting it? So those segments we can define at the time when you are hiring it. But for the data from where it is pulling out, that also we can define in our applications. It's a small PPT file that we have it in the professional service automation. So it is basically useful for the IT industries that we defined it, where being an employee, I might be working with multiple projects, how many hours and how many futures or how many time I am using the same project for same hours, you want to calculate it. Biometric is different, timesheet is different. Whether the timesheet and biometric is integrated or not. So where that can be measured through our PAC software. What we are measuring here, if I talk about being a professional service automations application, you have 500 plus employees. In this skilled people, if I talk about how many hours they are working on each and every client site, for which are the projects, or whether they are working remotely or not. So those can be analyzed through our application. How? Here, if I talk about what we are connecting, is not about the applications, the resource that you are using, the resource that you are mapping to which project, that is one segment. How much he is contributing towards the work he is doing, the revenue we have to calculate. So to which client we are working, or which client we are doing it, so that we have to raise the invoice. If you see these many segments as an independent process actually. If you ask me currently, you might be using Jira in IT companies. But here what we are doing, these activities between the vendors, or talk about between the department, it is completely interconnected. Take it as I'm the software developer, I'm working for 2 projects for 2 hours in a day. And my utilization, if I talk about it, might be for 3 months or something. So these can be measured through our application actually. So if you see how I can engage in the project, if I talk about, as I said, currently being an employee, I can't work 2 projects at the same time. Somewhere it has to be get tracked, right? So because it cannot be allowed also. So that can be synchronized in our application actually. It's a small feature that we developed it, but gives more yielding in the output actually. Moreover, how we are measuring the productivity or the profitability, how much Hari is contributing for the particular project, and how much turnover that we got it from the multiple clients. So through our applications that can pull out based upon the project, the revenue, and from the client that we are doing it. To support that, we can raise the billings also. So you will get a data analytical point from our application, who are the independent player role for the clients against the project, that the revenue has been generated. There also, if we talk about, it might be 2 ways, billable and non-billable criteria. These 2 can be categorized actually. So this is a small insight that we got it as a precision. And moreover, you can analyze where the particular employee is contributing, what is that effortless measurement that has been there. If anywhere if they are lagging it, that can be directly integrated with the PMS also completely. Yeah, so this invoicing, if I talk about, as I said, so multiple clients, different day card, multiple countries, individual employee-wise, how many hours they work, that can be raised in our applications also. So this will give us a complete word view visualization on your applications of how much profitability on each and every project that you got it. Through our applications, we can analyze it. So this is completely integrated with our HRMS portal completely. These are the few clients that we have it. And yes, this is all about the PSA that I have it. Any questions?
Next up, we have a very short, again, demonstration of the PMS module that we were just talking about. So can we please have the PMS PDF? Right. So Varun is back on stage. Varun is the head of our product at Keka. And can we please have the PMS PPT on the stage?
Performance management, appraisals, எவ்வளோ companies வந்து tool வச்சு பண்றீங்க, tool இல்லாம பண்றீங்க. Okay, how many use a tool today? Not Google Sheets, not Excel sheets. That's not the tool I'm asking for. How many use a proper product to do it? Great. How many use Keka? எவ்வளோ பேர் இங்க Keka use பண்றீங்க? Nice. If you have some feedback, we'll take that offline. Right. Okay. So it's always a pain, right? Be it a 100-employee organization, 200, 300, conducting a performance review cycle end-to-end for all your employees, defining the process till completing it is a pain, right? And எனக்கு தெரிஞ்சு நான் இது வரைக்கும் ஒர்க் பண்ண கம்பெனிஸில் the most used tool has been Google Sheets, right? Or an Excel sheet. And the pain starts from maintaining confidentiality, right? எப்படி ஷேர் பண்ணுவீங்க, email எங்கே போகும், right? Who's in the sharing list, right? You want to make sure that it's only in that chain, in that hierarchy and all of this, right? So reviews is one part, and most of our customers that use our performance management system use it for performance reviews because it's bread and butter, right? Most companies need a payroll automation solution, salary pay பண்ணணும், and you need a way to define the salary, which is your appraisal process, right? But one thing that I want us to take away today is a mindset change where performance appraisal is not for the salary, right? Performance appraisal process is a process for evaluating your employees' performance and to evaluate business performance also, right? Which I don't think we are all doing it, right? Not just employees, HRs, and even leadership in many organizations. I think sir had a very valid point around why can't we open it up? Why can't we make people owners, right? Why can't we let them know what is the ROI, what is trickling down from top, what are the goals, right? So I'll move on. So the most important thing in performance management is performance planning and setting of goals. நம்ம என்ன பண்றோம், salary cycle-க்கு just 1 month before or 2 months before we initiate this process, we run through it, we have a deadline, right? And the deadline keeps changing, right? And we try to finish it, no goals set, every employee is surprised, everyone is coming and asking, இந்த feedback எனக்கு முன்னாடியே கொடுத்திருந்தா நான் பெட்டரா பண்ணியிருப்பேன், right? How many of us face this? Great. ஏன் இந்த feedback முன்னாடியே கொடுக்கல? Okay. No planning, right? No goals. So there are two concepts here, right, in theory, which again, I keep suggesting this book to everyone. If you have all not read this, go and purchase Measure What Matters. It talks about OKRs and CFRs, right? This is a framework, and it is not a framework that fits every organization, need not fit, right? OKRs is nothing but objectives and key results. CFRs is conversations, feedback, recognition, right? It's very important to follow these two in whatever way that fits your organization. It will be very different for a manufacturing sector, very different for a product company, very different for a services organization, very different for a telecommunication organization, completely, right? But give it a read. I think you will all love this as HR people, and you will be able to take this concept of goal setting, goal management, and planning to your leadership, and most importantly, to all your department heads, right? So more than me showing a product demo today, all that I want to do is say that KEKA empowers and enables organizations to start it the right way, not just run your performance reviews, right? Not just for your salary hikes, not just to give you a promotion, right? So it's very important for you to follow goal setting and regularly have monthly one-on-ones, conversations, appreciation, feedback, positive or negative, in the right way. Moving on, again, what are OKRs? Objectives and key results. Objectives is where you want to be. It's like a small vision, right? Your vision will say, in 2027, I want to be this. Your objective will say, in quarter 1, I will reach here. Your quarter 2, I'll reach here. In 2025, I'll reach here. In 2026, I'll reach here, right? That's your objective. What is key result? It's nothing but the success, measure of success, right? I'll give you an example. India won the 2011 World Cup. Winning the 2011 World Cup, is it an objective or a key result or a vision? What is it? Any thoughts? Perfect. Why is it a key result? What is the objective? Okay, but what is the objective? You said key result vandu India won the 2011 World Cup. Appa objective enna? Yeah? To be the best in the world, right? So the objective is to be the best cricket playing nation in the world. One key result is that you win the World Cup. Does that mean you are the best? Need not be. What else? The second key result will be you win the World Test Championship, right? What is that enough? No, the third key result will be win the T20 World Cup also, right? So there are measurements of success and there is an objective. So it's very important to tell people goals. That's why I again resonate to what he mentioned about why can't you tell them what is the goal? And the employee will now know how much has he or she contributed to that goal. Now they'll be very clear, hey, whatever you did, I mean, வடிவேல கோட் பண்ணோம்னா புடிங்கினது எல்லாமே தேவையில்லாத அணிதாங்கிற மாதிரி, right? They will exactly know what they have done and what they should be doing, right? And it's very important, right? So OKRs is where it starts, goals is where it starts. How can you measure progress on a monthly basis, weekly basis, quarterly basis, so that you don't have surprises at the end of the year, right? So it's not about the product. You can run this on a very simple piece of paper for the entire organization. It gets complex when you go to larger organizations because there is hierarchy, right? There is a lot of alignment that needs to happen from the CEO till the intern that has joined your organization. So it's very important to have a tool to give that visibility. KEKA does that. It gives a complete visibility of all the goals. So we have still not gone to the performance review, right? Then the most important part, individual goals, right? There are company goals, right? India winning the World Cup or India being the best playing nation is BCCI's goal, is India's goal. Now, what is the goal for Dhoni? What is the goal for an Ashwin? What is the goal for another person? There are individual goals. That is also important, right? So goals for a company not being met, you cannot go and penalize an employee, right? Because goals for the company are more understood by the leadership. Leadership takes more responsibility, right? The higher responsibility, the percentage of ownership is more to the leadership, slightly lesser to every employee. So you can ask me, hey, if the goal is not met, can I directly compute the salary percentage based on this? No, right? Because there's also a lot of effort that the employee puts in. So it's very important that you track it based on individual goals, individual effort. What KK also helps you is we are building this currently, and I'm very excited about this module, where we help you chart your career path. An engineer who joins your organization today will exactly know what is needed to be done in their role. And this starts from JD. We were talking about hiring, right? You write a nice JD, Google la poitu nalla or JD search panni, you take it, you tweak words, or you use AI. Again, we have a feature to write JD using AI. So you have not written this JD. Once you hire the candidate, what do? Where does the JD go? You forget the JD, right? Everyone forgets the JD. The JD actually says key responsibilities. The JD actually says skills and competencies. But what do you evaluate this person on? You never look back on the JD. You create some new competencies. You create some new responsibilities during the performance review cycle, which is a no-go, right? So we have ensured, that's why the single platform will help you track the JD, track the job title, track the key responsibility areas, and tell this employee a clear path on where can they go next. What is their next step? Do I go to a senior software engineer? Do I go to an architect? Do I go to an engineering manager? What is that path, right? This is something that we chart out. We also chart out the skill gap. Hey, today you are at this level, this is your skill gap, because this is the rating given by our manager, right? Then comes performance reviews. After all of this is when performance reviews come, which is more of a ritual. Again, it will no more be a surprise. Most of us have annual performance reviews. No surprise when you do it monthly, right? No surprise when you have your quarterly conversations and goal sessions, right? We have, I would proudly say, one of the very simplest ways to set up a performance reviews process. And we have revamped that recently also. I think all of you should check it out. The way you can get started with a review cycle, whether you're a 50-member organization or a 500-member organization or a 5,000-member organization, right? You have a lot of advanced configurations and the simplest way to get started with your performance review process. Right until salary recommendation, promotion, and then taking them through their employee career path, right? Most importantly, calibration, right? How do you do that today? We call this normalization. Leaders get into a room, throw up a projector and then say, நான் 4 கொடுத்திருக்கேன், நீங்க 5 கொடுத்திருக்கீங்க, ரெண்டுத்தையும் வச்சு பார்த்தா இது 3 ன்னு வரும்னு நினைக்கிறேன். All this, right? And that's a mess, right? So we give you multiple models to calibrate across departments, across managers, and ensure that it's a standardized process across the organization and it is not run by one person's whims and fancies, right? So that's more important. Yep. These are specific questions that are always on top of your mind that can be answered when you use a product like KK, right? Again, comprehensive analytics on the performance reviews, on the skill gaps, right? Someone spoke about how you can identify a prospective new candidate or a new role fit within your same organization, right? How can you identify that person? How can you have that role model and say, this is the kind of person I want to hire? Or maybe you just want to move that person into that role, right? You can do that here with all the analytics that we provide. Again, thank you. I wanted to keep it short. I know the starters would have helped you sustain so long. Thanks a lot for waiting. And any questions, I'll be happy to answer. What is real-time performance assessment, sir? Yeah. No, good question, right? So that's what I called as conversations, feedback, and recognition, or CFR. It has to be continuous, right? So you have an ability to give a praise, appreciation, or a personal feedback if the person is not doing well on any time of the year. Yes, all the positive and negative reinforcements can be given at any point in time using the tool, using the platform. The praises are visible company-wide. The critical feedback or the improvement feedback are more private. You can also go and give feedback to the manager and not to the employee, to ensure that a peer wants to give you a feedback, maybe they don't give it in the right way, right? So they can give it to the manager and the manager can communicate that feedback to that employee. All this is recorded. When a performance review form opens up, depending upon the role and the level of the reviewer, say if the manager reviews it, all of this positive and negative feedback shows up. next to the performance review, right, on a single pane. So you don't have to now keep track of all these, and the employee does not have to have an Excel sheet with all the praises and then say, I got so many awards and all of this, right? You don't need all of it. Everything is captured, yeah. So everything is captured in real time, and that shows up during your performance review process. Yes. So you can have, yes. So there is this concept of review cycle where you can decide whether you want to assess based on questions, goals, projects. I think Hari was talking about projects, right? Like services companies and IT services companies have projects. So you can decide whether you want to assess based on projects, goals, questions, core values of your company, right? Skills and competencies. You can pick and choose what you want to assess. And the reviewers also. You can have peer reviewers, you can have 360 reviewers, upward review, downward review, right? Where even your subordinates give feedback for the manager, right? So all this is possible, and you can have multiple cycles running in parallel. You can decide it's a different process for sales department and a different process for marketing department. Run all of this in parallel and ensure the cycle completes on time. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Great.
Are we done for the day? Lovely.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, everyone.
All right, thank you so much. Yes, we have a question here. Okay, we'll take that as the last question. Can you please use the mic that is there on the table?
We do Bell, we do 9-box, we have 16-box. We have a lot of new requests that come up on different ways in which people want to calibrate and
Exactly.
analyze.
As you have multiple engagements done in previously, which is the best model according to in terms of the normalization? Is it Bell or is it 9-box? Or
It is very subjective. I will say it depends. I really can't put one pin because I'll be completely wrong because it will be based on my experience. I have been in services organizations. I have run product teams and design teams. I have run engineering teams. I actually do not go to that level at all. Okay. Because I do a very manual calibration, right? There's this fourth option called manual calibration, right? I use the 9-box and the bell curve for analysis, and then I do a manual calibration, right? So we have split calibration and analysis so that we don't force you. You can look at all the analysis methods, 9-box, 16-box, or bell curve. You can decide and say, I will do a manual calibration. I'll go through everyone manually and calibrate. You can also do that.
Okay. So the what part is clearly captured. How the how part, how it is getting captured?
Yes. So there are multiple ways. As I said, if it is goals, you need to come in and check in on the goals weekly. What is your progress? That should be a ritual. That should be a process set. And the system constantly sends out notification to all individuals, departments, and it tries to bring you all on a regular basis onto the platform and ensure you check in on the goals. Now, when you do the how, right? One is checking in on the goals.
Not check-in I'm talking about. When I say what, it is going to be a predefined with data-oriented key arrays.
Correct.
Certain key arrays cannot be data-oriented. For example, the loyalty I have with my company.
Correct.
I really don't have any data to support it. It is a goodwill or it is the intangible asset which I am having.
Right.
So how all this getting measured?
Right. So one is check-ins, as I said, and all the data-oriented can be automated. Say you have an external system where you have the data. You can automate it, so you do not have to come into the system. That piece is done. All the softer aspects are definitely feedback given by the manager. I think the other person asked about the positive and negative reinforcements, right? I think it's important for the 1:1 meetings to be in tandem with this. So when you do the monthly 1:1 meetings and you have the feedback, which is more qualitative feedback or related to culture, related to values, saying, hey, you were not a team player, right? You were not willing to help the team, and you were not stretching and things like that, right? If you have a feedback like that, or if you have a positive feedback, hey, seeing you did very well. This happens from monthly 1:1 meetings, and that also gets captured.
And I'm just going in deep.
Yeah.
Just want to understand, I've seen a spider model in terms of understanding the career. What is the algorithm or what is the model you are following?
Okay, the spider representation you saw was more of a skill gap analysis. I can actually share that offline with you to say that in today's level and role, this is your skill ratings. Say you're supposed to have 5 or 6 skills or competencies. This is where you are. And in your next role, this is what you're expected to be, right? So it's a parity between your current skill and competency level versus your next level skill and competency, right? It's just a very, I would say, point blank representation of that. There's no, I would say there's no intelligent analytics model that runs behind it.
Got it.
It's more of a spider chart for your skill gap.
Right. And yeah, thank you so much for the applause. Right.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, the applause is required, guys. Please, a huge round of applause for Varun.
I think he wanted dinner. Okay, thanks.
Right. And with that being said, I understand that all of you all are really looking forward to enter the dining area. And yeah, we come to the end of the session here. Thank you so much for being such a lovely audience. For the word of thanks, we have our sponsor, that is Five Money, and we have the head of corporate sales from Five Money, that is Mr. Darshan Maidur. Please, a huge round of applause for Darshan, who will be delivering the word of thanks.
So good evening all. Thank you for this wonderful event. A big round of applause to the entire KK team for putting this across. We at Five Money, we are trying building up a strategic partnership with KK team and trying to create an entire ecosystem for the new companies, startups, or SMEs or MSMEs or a Tier 1, Tier 2 organization, right? You might ask what's Five Money, because it might be a question for many of you. So Five Money is a super app what we are trying to build here. In Five Money, we are currently working on a program called as Five Salary Program. In this salary program, what we are trying to partner here is, so we have certain upcoming startup or an organization which is 50 employees or 75 employees or 100 employees, right? So where we partner with KK or we partner with Five Salary Program, reach out to your organization, we start building up a SOP for you. Maybe you want to have a payroll management system, HR management system, and you want your basic health insurance coverage to be given to all your employees, or you want to, already you've covered a basic health insurance, you want a super top-up to be covered to all your employees. So that's where we come into picture. In detail, I'll take your queries outside. Me and my team are present. So that's about Five Salary Program, what we are trying to build for entire set of ecosystem, plus, excuse me. So that's all about it. Thank you for all the attendees and organizers and speakers and guests. It was a great event. Each of us had a little impact on our learnings part. So thanks once again, Nishad.